Yo, come on, come all, nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't, and what we is here today. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. It's 8 o'clock, or actually 7:59. I started a minute early, but it is what it is. I've got with me today Eggs for Brekkie, aka Daniel. Say hi.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. And fuck me dead. I know I shouldn't swear, but I'm swearing straight off the bat. This was a good chapter. This chapter was so good from every point from start to finish. Like even the cover, like the Shonen Jump cover being Luffy versus Kaido had me
hmm
fucking smiling ear to ear. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I looked at that and I thought, oh wow, this is going to be like a Luffy versus Kaido, like potentially end of the fight chapter. It wasn't, but it was still very good.
So
But yeah, because when I looked at that, and then I was thinking, they've had so many covers in the past of like it's the climax of the Wino arc. Like
yeah.
they've had that probably for a year now. It's like,
See that's what raises my question. Then is yo, it's good to see you again, XO. That's what raises the question. The fact that it says the war that tears down an era, Wano arc climax, right?
mhm.
Is that we're about to see the end of the climax, or is that like okay, sorry, we've been saying it for a year, but the climax is here. You know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah,
like I mean, even separate to whether or not you think Wano's gonna be in 5 act play at this point in time, that like either way, it's like the climax is always gonna be Luffy versus Kaido, right?
I think
How
I think the idea is that the entire Onigashima raid is the climax of
climax?
the Wano arc, even if it's like longer than the Wano arc.
Yeah, I kind of get how you feel there. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But then the question sort of arises: is like, how long do you think Luffy versus Kaido will be? Because, and I mean, we'll get into this in a minute, but like, depending on whether or not you see Big Mom having gone down yet or not, it's
hmm
like, how long do you think Luffy has left in him to take on Kaido, and how much of a difference do you think that'll make? Because realistically, Big Mom had like a double-edged sword showcasing this entire arc where she didn't really get touched at all on the rooftop, but her having to deal with law, and I mean even with what Kid was doing, but mostly law here, it's like
hmm
there is untold amounts of damage done to her from all internal damage. Like
Yeah, yeah,
each
yeah.
one of Law's attacks is like if we're playing One Piece Treasure Cruise, right?
hmm
Like fighting Law is like fighting a team stacked with 30% health cuts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it after this, I think it would be harder to gauge how much health Big Mom has than any other Yonko.
Yeah. It's really hard. I think here's the thing. After this fight, like after this chapter, I think if she does come back, it's gonna be like, hey, I absorb my soul and it instantly heals me. But it's gonna be like, oh, I'm sacrificing like 20 years or some like crazy thing like that. Where like she's at the point where it's like, okay, it's all or nothing now.
Okay.
Um,
So, sorry,
because
did you say you think she's gonna heal then at the beginning of next chapter?
well, yeah, because in this chapter she took some of her soul out, put it in, and it healed all of her bones, or she put it in her bones, and then all of her bones like cracked back together. So I think if she can basically exchange her life, um, in terms
For
of like her
health,
lifespan for more health. Yeah.
yeah. Which,
So like if she does get back up, I'm assuming she's gonna like do that and then heal, and then maybe go
so
into some extra Big Mom mode and be really powerful. And then Kid will hit her with a really big attack.
just for preference, chat. I haven't had the chance to speak to Eggs for Brekkie yet, so this is our first reaction of like this is our first discussion of this chapter. Um, when I read the chapter, I raised the question, right? So we saw Big Mom heal her arm, right?
hmm
First things first, like the fact that she has healing is bloody ridiculous. Like every time I think this woman's at her limit, we just get another ability that it's just like holy shit.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of come full circle on it, and I'm like, I kind of love Big Mom now. Like, I kind of really love Big Mom now because it's just like she just has so much going for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If anyone
When I was
else,
watching this chapter, I was reading this chapter, I had this like really big perception shift of like, yeah, Big Mom isn't weak. She's not doing bad. These two are just really strong.
Yeah.
Like realistically, like we look at Yonko as like these godlike beings that can never be defeated because they'll just swing their hand and kill everything in front of them. But it's like realistically,
I mean,
um, they're beating her.
if
You know
you
what I mean?
if you're
They're not
looking
even close to as strong as her individually, but they're beating her
if you're
because they're
looking
just
at this on
outsmarting her and
paper,
outplaying her.
you have. I mean, Law's fruit is bad enough already, but like you've got an awakened op no me. Like you've got the awakened user of the fruit that's regarded as the pinnacle of devil fruits, while the other guy that's fighting you, even though we don't really see it, on paper it's like all three types of haki and an awakened devil fruit.
Yeah.
You know, like on paper, she's going up against so much, and the fact that it is a 2v1 and they didn't just blitz her as well, and then she just keeps getting back up and is like, this is fucking nothing. As soon as I hit you little shits, I'm taking you. Like they give her so much love, which is good to see, because I was saying to this to Glitter off stream, and it's like if they treated Kaido, Shanks, even Whitebeard as goofy as they did Big Mom, Big Mom by comparison would look so much better, because now all of a sudden she's not the only Yonko that's constantly looking goofy, because she has everything that they have. Like, if Big Mom goes down this chapter or next chapter, like, because there's a lot of debate on that, like, we didn't get to see her, like, we saw her fight all out, but we didn't get to see her fight all out. Like, we know she has advanced Rio. We know she has advanced Conqueror's Haki. She's used it once against Page 1 and one-shot him, but then hasn't touched it again while fighting Kid Law.
Yeah.
So it's like, I like, the way the chapter ends, and the way that the previous fights have gone in Onigashima, I can 100% see the mindset of, oh, you know, she's done. Just following the trend, she's done. Right? Don't hold your breath for more. I mean, it's like it's like the Topirobo. Like, how long will people be like, oh, they might get back up, they might be awakened zone users, or and then nothing. Even with the All Stars, you know what I mean? So it's like she may be done. It sucks a bit, but it's like she may be done. But the fact that she still has all this shit in her arsenal, I think it's almost impossible to say that she's not the most versatile person in One Piece right now. Like, she may not be the individual strongest. I don't think there's a more versatile person in the series right now. Like, can you honestly think of anyone?
I mean, it depends on how you... Because the thing is, like, I would give really huge props to things like Future Sight, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is that like when you're thinking about versatility, none of the abilities that she had were able to handle these two. They just kept fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
Just kept pushing her over and over. But like she does have like lots of different attacks and lots of different abilities. Oh yeah, definitely. I don't think anyone's shown more like variability at least in her like combat.
That being said, right?
I just want to point out, I got a little mini theory, and this is just because I'm a kid hater.
Go.
After the bull rams her, and she gets back up, and she's got like all these broken bones.
Yep.
She says that like Law broke her ribs.
Yep.
Then you can see that her arm's broken as well. I think a lot of people would get the idea of that the bull broke her arm. My headcanon, that was Law as well. And Kid's no chill.
Nah, it was Kid, because you can go back to the end of the chapter before. Her arm's fine. Kid's the one that broke her arm, but Law, like, and this is hard, right? Because it's like, Kid broke her arm, yeah, but she's saying like, Law, you broke all my ribs. You know what I mean? And it's like, and
that's the thing, like she gets back up and she doesn't say anything really about Kid's attack. She just says, "Oh wow, Law's really strong."
See,
and then Law goes to him and goes, "Stop taking my
thunder.
taking my credit."
Yeah. See, the thing is, like, I'm pretty positive that was Kid that broke her arm, and I can double check, because I'm pretty sure at the end of the last chapter we see her and her arm's completely fine after Law did his attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I will say is, I kind of feel personally the reason, because Law's been a lot more impressive so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the reason that is because Oda's doing to Big Mom with Law what he did with Luffy and Law versus Doflamingo, where there's the argument that Law did 50% or more of the damage. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
But then the other person comes into a one-on-one and ends up getting the finisher.
Oh, I think Law's done more than 50% of the damage. I think Law's hard carrying this fight.
Ooh, do you know what? Do you know freaking what?
Hmm?
It's actually Law's awakening goes through her right arm and her head. Does the shock willy. Her arm isn't necessarily broken, but we don't see her arm properly because immediately after Kid hits her with the bull.
Yeah.
And then so her arm looks fine when the bull hits her, right?
It's very likely that because the sword went through her arm and then her head,
Well,
it like broke her arm.
I think you might be right. I think it was actually her arm got broken by Law. Because if you look at the sequence of events,
All
Law,
Kid has done
it's
is
it's
like
it's
really nothing.
yeah, no. If you look at the sequence of events, it's actually where Law's sword went through her, where the awakening went through her forearm, and then he did the shock willy, and then like you said, she's talking about how most of her bones got broken from the first one, right?
She never mentions Kid's attack really.
Mm.
Then Kid does it again, and to be fair, that magnet thing, how he can do the sign, that's pretty cool.
Oh, I
Um,
was
but then she just turns around and blocks it
I
anyway.
was saying
So
how
really, he did like no damage to her.
I was saying how broken that is, but again, I think the reason for that is because Law's getting showcased first. So it's like show everything that Law can do and make Law look badass, and then move on to Kid, and then show how Kid is badass. Because
Yeah.
if it was just them juggling the whole time, it's like yeah, that is kind of cool, but neither one of them like takes center stage as much. Whereas so far, Law has just looked way better. You know what I mean?
That'll be the biggest upset in One Piece. Mum is down, and the next chapter, Kid goes up to Kaido and does his final attack against Kaido. That's
What
my
if
Luffy win.
we've got a comment here? What if Big Mom is not done yet? Then Straw Hats gather to fight her. Honestly, that would just make Kid and Law look kind of pathetic at this point.
I think it'd have to be these two.
I
Have
feel
Kid and Law.
I feel like if the Straw Hats gather for any opponent, the best opponent that they could gather for, arguably, is taking out CP0. And that might seem like overkill, but like we have 3 CP0 members, all of which are seemingly capable of one-shotting numbers and flying 6.
And you're not. Zoro is not getting back into this fight.
No.
Unless this Reaper thing is like just. I don't know. Yeah, no. There's no way he gets back into this fight. So, like, to Straw Hats gather, it's going to be like Sanji, Frankie as like and Jinbei as like the strongest few against 2 CP0 agents. That's actually a decent like matchup.
Especially when like those
Assuming
CP
they're like really strong. Yeah.
those CP agents, like they genuinely at this point in time have to be around commander level. They may not be like they may not be like as hard hitting or as impressive.
And mind you, this is tired Sanji and tired Jinbei.
I mean,
And then Frankie with that is General Frankie. So
I mean, arguably those 3 like all they're able to do is physically block at this point, like stop Robin getting hurt. While say like Brook and that is the one on the offense, so you got one defending, one attacking. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like even that might be overkill. I'll tell you what though. If this is the end of the fight and this is all we get from Kid, I can use Kid's fruit better than he can. What I will say.
Again, we can all use Law's fruit better than he does.
I mean, can we at this point though?
I mean, remember when Law was like first coming out and in like Punk Hazard, and it was like, why doesn't he just drop them in water? Why doesn't he just like carry around barrels of water?
At this point in time, at this point in time, and I got this question right. Kid's assign ability works on anything. He can turn any non-magnetic thing magnetic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine if this man turned a chunk of the ocean magnetic?
Well,
and he did the whole Shiki drowning thing?
I think what it is more is he can assign a point that is a magnet.
Yeah,
What I mean, like that letter itself
yeah.
that he puts on the thing is the magnet itself. So if he puts it on water, like the water
So
would move. If you get what I mean. Like it's not the entire
I
ocean
don't,
itself
I don't, I
moving.
don't,
It's more just
I don't
spots.
disagree. But it could make a nice little bubble to beat some weaker people with devil fruits. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
If it
yeah.
works, and if it doesn't work, I mean, look, it could completely not work. But I've got a few questions about it. Can he assign two S's or two N's, or can he only do one S, one N? Because could he make himself a near perfect shield by assigning himself the same letter as one of his enemies, so they can't touch him?
Yeah, right. That'd be cool.
Follow up, you know his big cannon. Oh, so first things to mention, right? If you actually look, the kind of impressive. So we know that Kid did learn Haki over the time skip, but we haven't really seen him use it, right? What we have seen, and this got pointed out to me on Twitter, is Kid pre time skip, his metal is just giant clumps of shit. Post time skip, he's making pretty intricate mechanical devices.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's really refined his like ability to create stuff, to shape it, and actually work. Because we know that he's a tinkerer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's gotten a lot better at utilizing the scrap metal in positive ways.
Thing that I can't get past is that it's metal. Metal in this universe is just like
I mean,
nothing.
Big Mom
Big
cuts
Mom
through
literally
it.
just Big Mom literally had a building at her back and just stood up and turned around, and the building came with her.
Which leads me to if we go down and have a look at the final panel of this chapter, right? This damned punk attack. I got a question as to what you think it is, but I also, regardless of what it is, I think I know a way to have an improved version of it already. And
It's a Gauss cannon, basically.
so you think it's a Gauss cannon? So you think he's shooting an electromagnetic?
Yeah.
Is it a railgun or a Gauss cannon? Like is he shooting a piece of metal through it at like a high inducted, like bang, or
I
is
think
he
it could
using
be.
electromagnetic electricity and shooting out like a beam of electricity?
I think he's probably shooting a beam of some sort. The thing is that I don't necessarily think it's going to be like textbook accurate. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's going to be like, yeah, this is a thing that actually exists in the world, but because of it, he can shoot like a laser beam.
So
Like, yeah.
the fact that he's capable of these things, I understand. As much as I dislike it, I understand why he doesn't have any form of advanced haki. Because if he did, same as Law, he'd be really broken at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of see it though as more like versatility because the thing is like if he could use advanced hockey, he's not putting it into this laser beam, right? It's like crazy levels of hockey. Like we haven't seen really anyone um other than like Izo, which seemingly was just like normal
I
like
mean, the
whatever.
entire Cujo was shooting arrows that were destroying massive
Yeah.
stones and stuff like that.
Yeah, true.
It's
So
more
it's
it's a
hard to know.
technique that's not necessarily like it's a technique that's strong, but it's still based off your willpower. I can understand not giving it to
Yeah.
Kid because if he has it in his arsenal, I mean, think about what would happen if he could make a tornado of metal around an opponent and haki up the metal.
Well, the thing is that like so in that case, it's really hard to think about projectiles because yeah, like when we've seen projectiles get hockey up, they seemingly have like kind of like an explosive force to them.
Mm-hmm.
But when you hockey up like a fist, it just means that like your punch is harder, like it's stronger. It's really weird how it works. Because like so for example, if you hockeyed up a bunch of like metal and then like whirled it around in a tornado, when the metal touched you, would it just be like hard metal, or would it like touch you and like explode with force on your
See,
skin?
I would
It's really
say
hard to tell.
I would say it would just be hard metal because I think that explosion is from the impact. Like a bullet or an arrow being shot has
Yeah.
a blunt force element to it.
Right. But then I would just say that like hockeyed up metal in a big whirlwind would only hurt as much as the metal,
I
unless
agree.
you're like Kaido, where
I
like your skin is so strong that metal can't scratch you.
I agree, right? But if it was something, say, and this, like, hear me out here, right? So,
Hmm.
if he makes this railgun here, this damn punk, but instead of shooting a laser beam, he's using an electromagnetic force, and he's using it like a rail gun instead of a Gauss cannon, where he
Yeah.
shoots a piece of metal, right? He's using the electromagnetic forces to shoot a piece of metal, right?
Yeah.
If he imbues a piece of metal with haki in this setting, and then uses a sign on the bullet and on the opponent so it doesn't miss,
Right.
I think that could be a bullshit finisher.
True.
Like think about a.
Although the thing is that down the bottom it says that apparently that like you read that bit, right?
Which part?
What the kanji means? Little note.
The electromagnetic cannon.
Yeah, the last
Railgun.
bit missing the character for projectile.
Yep.
So like it basically like inherently isn't a
But
projectile.
but what I'm saying is, if he has an altered version of this with a projectile,
Yeah,
like I
that
said,
would be cool, yeah.
imagine if he assigned, and like it doesn't have to be metal at that point, because if you can use the assign ability to it, you know what I mean.
Yeah, right.
But what I'm saying is like, and I mean, look, the fact that he's got that assign ability, you got to think. We always joke on Kid going like, if he's got no metal around his trash, he can make anything metal now, really. You know what I mean?
It'd be cool if he was like a gunslinger, and then he could, if he assigned onto you, then he could assign the opposite onto his bullets.
Yeah.
So it's like the guy from Fishman Island where they track
Yep.
you.
Yep. And so imagine that, but he's got a supercharged attack with it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Especially
like a
if,
laser beam that curves at you.
or like a I mean, look, he looks like a big old Magnum, like a cyberpunk Magnum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if you shot a projectile. The projectile's assigned to your forehead or something, or to a sensitive spot like your heart or one of your joints, right? He shoots it. It's imbued with haki, like advanced armament haki, but like the swordsman variation where you can haki up your sword, right?
Yeah.
Imagine if it was sharp.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Like, and I'm not saying it's like it has to be good enough to jack up someone like Big Mom, but like, just having that as an ability in general, that's like like giving him a little bit more.
We've already seen that. It's just without the haki, because he had the harpoons. Remember, against Kaido.
Yeah.
He had like a big harpoon cannon on his arm,
Yeah.
and it was like 5 or so harpoons around this big circle.
I mean, imagine if he did that though. Like, use that, and then because like him just shooting them, it's like, yeah, okay, you're shooting them, but like we see something like this, where it's like he can build up a bigger, better charge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's very like there's always a bigger mech.
Yeah,
you
like
know
if
what I
you
mean?
could fire those harpoons with like with this type of technology, the magnetic thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think Big Mom will get destroyed since Kid says that the attack will destroy her? I'll talk about that quickly, right? Because it breaks down into 3 sort of subsections. I'm pretty sure. We have
I think it's over. I think the fight's over.
We have Law saying, right? My next attack's going to be my last. I need you to keep her distracted so I can land at Eustacia. And then I need you to finish her off, right? So that's 2 parts there. Then we have Law actually like dropping her and Kid getting in this final attack. But in this final attack, it's like, you think you can take me down, give it your best shot. I'm Big Mom. And then Kid's like, that's why I'm going to finish you off. Hits him with the damn punk. And it's ambiguous because it does end with, your era is over, right? That could be dramatic finalization that Big Mom's been taken out here, or it could be, just a cool ending to the chapter. We pick up the beginning of next chapter, and Kid's fighting Big Mom 1v1, and you got to remember, right? Big Mom's been, she's at least been counter-shocked once. So I can't remember if Law's landed a gamma knife on her. I know he landed a gamma knife on Kaido, but she's at least been counter-shocked once and been hit with 3 separate awakening attacks from Law. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd like to point out, gamma knife completely destroys all your internal organs in the area. There is no reason necessarily for us to say that Law's awakening doesn't do the same thing. And I know this might be a bit of a stretch here and a bit of a reach because it's not really mentioned, because Big Mom's just talking about a few broken bones. But I mean, we're comparing Yonko here, right? Whitebeard fought with his internal lower organs completely liquefied by magma, and then half of his face removed. Big Mom could have literally just used her lifespan here to heal her forearm so she could continue fighting regardless of whatever state her internal organs are in, because she knows full well at the end of this fight she can heal up. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, we
Like, yeah, I
genuinely
don't think
don't
it's
know what
impossible
state she's in.
over. Yeah, I don't think it's impossible that it's over. But one thing that I saw in the comments on this chapter page, somebody was saying that he thinks that like the reason why the sword went all the way through, and you can see how there's like swirling around it, um, is that what he thinks happened is when Law electrocuted her, and then Kid shot her, it sent her swirling down the sword into the ground, into the massive hole that they made in Wano. And basically, that she's going to fall off of Onigashima, sliding through this sword, constantly getting shocked by the internal damage of the sword the whole way down while being laser blasted into the ground. And she's going to end up in the hole in the ground in Wano. And then you can even go further and say Yamato is now going to throw all of the bombs from the basement
Down in the hole.
into the hole, and then they're going to blow up in
Honestly,
the hole.
I didn't
So,
think about that hole, but that actually could really work for getting rid of the bombs. You're not wrong there. That's a
yeah,
massive get out of jail free card there for Yamato. But what I will say
it's
is,
right next to her, right? We saw the
yep.
sword go down right next to it.
What I
Yeah.
will say is we see Big Mum with the smoking hole in her stomach from it, but the sword's gone off her now. It's not in her anymore. Before Kid's final attack.
I'm trying to find it. God, so funny. Yeah. Okay.
So when she Kate takes the damage and then she's smoking, and you see her stomach and you see her back, and she's literally burning up from the fucking attack.
Okay. Yeah.
But the
True.
sword's no longer in her anymore. I mean, that's not to say that Kid's not gonna be able to blast her down that hole, considering if you look, she's just in front of that hole,
Yeah,
right?
and there's like debris around her as she's getting shot.
Right. And I mean, there is nothing to say that taking her out of that hole though is going to make a difference, because we know Hera, Prometheus, and Napoleon are with her. I mean, realistically, they'll catch her if she's falling, regardless of if she's conscious or not. But Kid can fly with his magnetism anyway, so they could remove her from Onigashima here and keep fighting.
Actually, yeah. Like I don't like. I mean, Kid could stop Hera at least if he could like attract the electrical current or something.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be kind of cool if Big Mom fell into the hole and got annihilated by all of those bombs. Because that way it wouldn't be like you don't have like Big Mom's corpse laying around, because it's a bit like brutal for Oda to write. He doesn't tend to like killing people, right?
Well, I mean, that's another question. Is Big
Yeah,
Mom actually
like-
going to die?
I don't know.
Because the Yonko, like, when people say that people in One Piece don't die, it's like they do die. We just like it doesn't
There's
happen.
no, like dramatic scenes of someone's death.
But that's not to say that Oda hasn't gotten more brave with killing people off. Since we've entered the New World, almost every single arc we've had someone die.
Mhm.
And it's like we're still in the mindset of, because it's none of the main characters, no one ever dies. But I mean,
Yeah.
we've had Virgo and Monet die. We've had we had Peckham's almost die, but he didn't die. But we had Pedro die. We've had freaking Yasui die, and like this is all in screen, like in current story time. You know what I mean? Like Oda does kill off a few people. It's just like in 1,000+ chapters, if you kill someone off once every 120 chapters in current story, it kind of loses its oomph a bit.
Yeah, and the other thing is like it's not necessarily good to kill people off. Like some people enjoy it, but if you kill off a character that someone loves, I've seen from like novels and stuff that I've been reading,
People drop
people
it.
saying like I'm not going to read this anymore because my favorite character is dead. Yeah, just genuinely like I'm not reading it anymore, and you don't want that as like a writer. So you got to be careful with that.
What I will ask is, why do you think Law's attack had to go deeper?
I don't know. I think it might just be like an anime. Oh, this is really long. But to be honest, so I was reading the comments on this thing, and someone said like, oh, it needs to anchor the electricity into the core of the world so that it doesn't blow up. Like the electrical output will blow up Onigashima. If it's not like anchored into the ground.
See, the problem with that is, does this attack even do electrical shock? Because like I said, it could be doing like gamma knife and radio knife sort of damage.
Yeah, like a force. Yeah.
But shock Willy and puncture Willy. Willy is the German word for will.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's even arguments to be had here, considering Law can manipulate your soul, right? With the like personality transplant and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He could be directly attacking her haki and her body. Like,
Yeah.
it's essentially like saying haki puncture or shock haki.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's and this is what I'm saying. It's like we had Whitebeard walking around with half of his organs completely liquefied, half of his face gone. You know, we all know that the cannonballs, the gunshots, the sword wounds that man took, right? Big Mom's sort of getting that same treatment right now, where it's just like all her internal organs have been jacked to shit, and she's still walking around like King Kong, banging her chest, smashing Law's head in. Which, by the way, right, her punching Law here with her Haki, those same punches completely blocked Gear 4.
But that was like Whole Cake Gear 4.
Yeah, but Whole Cake Gear 4 is still like Whole Cake Gear 4 we still thought was like gonna shit on Law. Did we not at the time?
Well, that's the thing, is that Law's probably just gotten stronger.
Yeah, but
It's
that's
just
the
that power creep thing.
but that's the point. Law cops at least what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 attacks, 10 attacks.
Yeah.
Ooh, 10, 11, 12 attacks from Big Mom with Haki.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, like, he did get beaten by Dofi.
I mean, him being beaten by Dofi though, like Dofi, if you ever go back and reread the Doflamingo fight, Doflamingo's parrying him. Like his strings are present outside of the room as well, and every time like Law's coming in, Doflamingo's either pulling himself out of the way, or he's like bringing strings that are attached to him that are also outside of the room are like parrying Law. So when Law like does his slash and it like cuts you in half. It's like literally as Law's coming in to do that, it's like lifting his sword up so he's missing attacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And then every other attack that Law lands on Doflamingo is like they're freaking heavy hits. Doflamingo was pretty much dead. I mean, Doflamingo did literally have to remake his organs to fight Luffy.
Yeah.
Like that's some bullshit right there.
Yeah.
That being said, what are your thoughts on Madam Misery or Mama Misery?
I mean, it just looks like a big lightning attack.
Well, first things first,
Walk through.
I think it looks like Carmel, Mother Carmel.
It's true. It does look like her.
And second things second, if you look at it, it's a solid form of fire and lightning. That is some busted ass shit right there. That's a full blown Logia.
Yeah. I still think it's less than Elbaf's spear, though, is the problem.
Look, Elbaf's spear.
Big Mom has shown so many, like, large-scale attacks, but Big Mom's spear is just... Elbaf's spear is just huge.
Elbaf's spear is literally what Law did here with his awakening. Just on a backhand swing.
Yeah.
Like, look at the massive hole made through this thing. Like, Big Mom did the same thing with an Elbaf spear off cuff with her sword.
Yeah, and Dorian Broggy could do that as well, just saying.
I mean, that's some ridiculous shit right there.
Mm-hmm.
What I'll ask then is, if this is the fight done, are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. Like, here's the thing, my kind of perspective just sort of changed. Like, to me, Big Mom didn't get memed on and didn't seem too weak. They also didn't seem too insanely strong. It's just they fought it really smart. They used really good abilities that could hurt her, and they teamed up and, like, outplayed her, basically, because there was two of them. I don't think she did bad. I don't think they did bad. I don't think they showed anything that makes them, like, too godlike. where it's like, wow, they're like Yonko level. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was really good. I'm really satisfied with it.
Um, what?
Because I was expecting, I was half expecting like a giant ass pull where they're like, oh, I also just happen to have, now I've just suddenly got like the hockey that Luffy has got, even though Luffy's been way through way more than I have. Like that, I didn't want that to happen. So
would
I'm glad that the way that they beat her is this way.
would you be mad then if whether it's Advanced Conquerors or Advanced Armament, if they
Mm.
continued like if the fight's not done here and it's just Kid? Would you be mad if Kid develops one advanced Haki throughout the course of fighting Big Mom in a one-on-one at this point while she's on her last legs?
Kinda. Like I wouldn't be that mad.
Okay. Um, here's
I
another.
just don't. I don't. The thing is, I don't see the need for it. Like, so when you think about it, right? She could have blocked pretty much all of this if she used Rio. She just couldn't because they outplayed her, right?
Yeah, I mean they
Nothing that
speed
they
blitzed
did
her and
was
just
like
kept going relentless on her.
just kept hitting her. Yeah, that's the thing is like nothing that they did was like stronger than her in a sense. It was just that like they just kept getting the drop on her over and over again, and she couldn't keep up. But it's not like they beat her because they have future sight or because they have stronger Rio than her. They just like yeah, she has Rio, but they didn't get to use it. Yeah, she could blow them away with misery, but they got away and then started smacking her.
Yeah.
You know? It's like, yeah,
Okay.
like on a power scaling perspective, she is still dozens of times, like a dozen times over them, kind of deal. It's like if they get hit by misery, they're dead. So it's like
Well, I mean,
they're still, yeah, she's still way over them, but they just outplayed her and won, which I think is pretty cool.
first things first. I now am so desperate to see a fight between Big Mom and Kizaru because she's got a lightsaber and he's got a lightsaber. Like, I really just want that for the joke of it. Like, even if it's just on a cover page, right? Could you imagine how funny that would be if we got like a Duel of the Fates, Phantom Menace style of Big Mom fighting Kizaru?
Bring NL back.
Which actually, speaking of NL, chat actually asked this. Do you think that Kid's railgun attack is stronger than NL's L4 or one of his lightning based attacks? Because it's very similar in
Mm.
design. I know this might sound a little crazy. I think it's more potent because it's damaging Big Mom, but that's also really hard to determine because Big Mom, she gets. The longer she fights, the weaker she gets defensively.
Okay, what I would say is it depends on if you think NL's attacks were actually the amount of volts that he was saying, because the amount of volts that he was saying is like bonkers,
No,
and
no,
that amount of volts
the voltage
felt
isn't the
pretty insane.
problem, really. The voltage is pretty actually spot on. If anything, it's like what the amperage would do if it's those voltage, and if it touches a human. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that like, so for example, for someone to fire a giant like rail cannon like him, you would fly back. Like,
I mean,
he's not.
look at her.
I don't know.
She is getting sent packing through the ground.
Well, I mean, Kid would like you couldn't fire it. I don't know. There's a lot of like little
Yeah.
anime stuff, right? So I think at the end of the day, it's just like if Oda wants it to
Look,
be. But like I think possibly,
NL's
yeah,
attack looks
because
better,
I don't
but her.
necessarily see NL
I don't see NL hurting Big Mom.
electrocuting her to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen this woman when she's at full health take NL level attacks from Zeus that Nami controlled.
Yeah.
She's eaten L4s in the past. The first one didn't do a thing to her. Second one, when she was weakened and tired, hurt her. She screamed.
Yeah.
I think that's the same here, where it's like I would argue that NL's attacks are actually probably bigger and better than this attack. And mind you, you got to remember NL would have had a bounty of at least 500 mil. So right now it's like in the same range of damage output that Kid can do as a pirate, because Kid's only at 475 mil, and or around 470 mil, sorry. And I mean like it's kind of consistent with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing that I'm kind of thinking about is like if that amount of energy came out, if the amount of energy that NL was using came out of that gun that he's using, the metal on that gun would
No.
just evaporate.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's why I just like can't necessarily
See,
see it. But at the same time, it's probably just anime stuff, right? Like
Yep.
it probably can be.
Um, that being said, like although this looks like it hurt Big Mom, it doesn't look like it would have finished her. Because no offense to Kid, this is like a cool attack, but this didn't seem like the one-hit KO.
I think this is it, personally.
I mean, look, I'm okay if it is. It's just like, I mean, this doesn't look like the strongest hit that's hit her. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, I think it is.
based on other attacks that we've seen Big Mom tank in the past, it's like she's taken attacks that look way more devastating than this. Way more devastating.
What if this laser beam pushes her out of Onigashima and into like the water or something? Are they over
They're on land.
land yet?
They're over dry land. That's why Law's thing penetrates the land.
Under the ground.
You can see they're probably like a kilometer away from the flower capital.
Yeah, yeah. And that's pretty insane.
Which, mind you, it's pretty busted. I was actually drawing the parallel that Law's massive hole that he made here with his awakening is comparable to what Fujitora did when he dropped the meteor on Law and Dovi.
Yeah.
Which is pretty, like, in terms of buffing up, that's consistently getting, like, to that better level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's hard, though, because realistically, like, stone is, like, nothing anymore compared to this crap. Because, like I was saying, like, Elbaf's spear will just go through stone seemingly as far as the eye can see.
So, this is the hard thing, right? Law's awakening attack here deleted all that stone. I'm not going to even assume. I'm telling you, Law landed that attack on Big Mom's heart. You see where he lands on her. He's specifically aiming for her heart.
Her flesh didn't disintegrate, which means her body is literally harder than stone. Fun fact.
Which means...
even her organs, potentially.
Considering this bypasses her defense, and her defense is her skin, right? Law's evaporating a 100-meter wide hole of pure bedrock on Big Mom's heart. Like, the same energy's hitting Big Mom's heart, and Big Mom's just like, that fucking hurts. You know what I mean? Like, she screams, she coughs blood, but she's still good enough to talk. She's still good enough to be like, you got more, bitch? I'll kill you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's a tank.
Which I love. I love that she's getting consistency and love there. What I will say is... and it's hard, because I haven't talked about this in a minute, right? No one's here to see that they've beaten Big Mom.
Yeah, right.
They're fighting Big Mom away from everyone else right now, aren't they? Because everyone else is trapped on...
The only people around are their crews.
Yeah. So it's like... I'm sitting here and I'm like, are they going to get the credit robbed from them? Because that would be pretty funny. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if Luffy gets the credit for having taken down Kaido and Big Mom here.
Yeah.
Like, and how shitty Kid and Law would be from that. Alright.
To be fair, though, Pirate King, man.
We've just had the question asked, Yamato versus Law. I would say Law only because Yamato would have a hard time dealing with his abilities, but it's not an easy fight by any stretch. Like, Yamato can do some high tier attacks, and she's got some specialized defensive capabilities. You know what I mean?
Tell you what, I think I'd probably give the edge to Law as well now.
Yeah. I mean, that awakening is pretty sexy. You know what I mean?
Like, because the thing is he can just cover his blade. Like, assuming they're both like full stamina and full health, he can cover his blade. Because the thing is like people like Kaido and Big Mom, they're so big, and even like Whitebeard, they're so big that you can like destroy their organs, and they're like, yeah, I'm still walking.
Yep.
But like, if you stab a normal human-sized person, then you like explode them from the inside out, they're just gonna die. Like Dofi, right? If he didn't have his fruit, he would just die there.
If this attack was being done to someone in Naruto, like the people that die from a kunai,
yeah,
should be deadly. You know what I mean? What I will say, and what I will bring attention to though, is Law can't use his room while he's using his awakening.
That's true.
He picks one or the other because what I think's actually happening is he's actually coating, like the K room is actually creating.
He's coating his sword with the rune.
Yes, which is the same sort of thing that we see from other awakened users, where they turn something around them into their awakening. He's turning his like that. You know how they turn stuff into their element. He's creating his element and then picking an item to turn that element into. You know what I mean? So it's hard to gauge this, but how fast does it operate? Because we see it reaches kilometers in length, his sword, right? And I mentioned this for the first time we saw it, where I was like, his sword looks like it's extended, but we didn't have a clear picture. It could have just been aesthetic. Now we know he can extend his sword, right?
Yeah.
How instantaneous is it? Because if he can just point his sword at you while he's got it awakened, and it just goes inside you.
I don't think it's instantaneous. I think it has to grow. Because he literally is like waiting there, tanking blows, waiting for. Which, to be fair, it's a really long way away. So it can probably go very, very quick. But it's not instant because he had to wait for it to hit the earth before he could do his attack. He was taking hits while doing it.
I mean, it did further than that because it was already through the earth instantaneously. Like, we don't know how deep that went. If you look at that crater, we don't know, because you got to remember.
I mean, like, so a good basis of how fast the sword moves goes straight through the basement armory, and then after it goes through it, Yamato turns and notices it.
Yeah.
So it's like it goes quick enough that it's like faster than her even turning her head.
Yeah. And like, mind you, like as far as we can tell, the instantaneous effect of it is it's from where Law is down to the ground, and then it's continuing through the bedrock. We don't know how deep it goes. Like, for all we know, that hole could go all the way down to sea level.
I think it's very quick, but I don't think it's like undodgeable fast.
Oh no! It's definitely dodgeable, but like the problem is it's a quick attack.
Yeah.
Like it does have high like AP and attack speed. You know what I mean? So it reminds me of the guy from Bleach that can grow his sword instantaneously. And it was like, he can grow his sword 15 kilometers instantly. You know what I mean? People could dodge it, but it's like when you first see it and the sword just magically like it spawns through you and you're like, oh, he just can cut me from any distance. It's not until you get far enough away to be like, oh, it is dodgeable. It just spooks you how quick it moves when you're up close to it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's a fast attack. You know what I mean? And it's got range. Because the thing is, like, you got to think, while Law's in this form, he's not able to just teleport around and block and like get the angle to attack. While he's using his awakening, he really has to choose: do I want offense or defense?
Yeah. The other thing is we don't necessarily know if he can move it like it's a normal weighted sword, if the weight increases or not. Because it could be like once it's extended, he's not really going to be able to move it anywhere because it's going to be too heavy. Or it could be you can extend it and then just move it around like a normal weighted sword.
I was asking the question because if you go back to last chapter, or is it whenever he does his shock willy, is it this chapter or last chapter? I think it was last chapter. You see inside Big Mom's mouth, right? And you can see that the sword isn't in her mouth. It touches her skin and then teleports to the other side of her skin.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I asked the question, does the attack, once it's touched someone, tether to them? Even if they have some like broken ability to get away. And so what I mean by that is, like, if you look at Big Mom, right? In chapter 1038, it goes through her arm and her mouth. You see her open her mouth and the sword doesn't actually go through her mouth. It's on either side of her cheek, so that it doesn't physically go through her mouth, right? Mm-hmm. Say if Big Mom was... Say if it was someone like Minato in One Piece. Like Minato from Naruto, right? If he gets hit and the sword touches him, and then he teleports away, is the sword's damage still tethered to him? Because Law's able to cut people up in his room, right? And their blood still autonomously flows almost like a pocket dimension from one part to the other. Yeah. They don't bleed out. So, like, for lack of a better words, is this awakening like a trans-dimensional thing where it's like once it touches something, it tethers it to the attack?
I honestly think even Oda hasn't thought that far. Because every time it's gone into someone, they've just stayed still.
Yeah. Which makes it hard for me to gauge, you know what I mean? But it's like the fact that it's like the fact that it touches her but doesn't actually pierce her. You know what I mean? Because it's like if someone was able to dodge away after that, does Law's sword just like get yanked away, or do the parts of the sword just drop to the ground in 3 parts and his sword's broken, or are they still connected? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really odd that they don't physically connect in that capacity. If that makes sense.
My theory is it can move around. It's not actually stabbing into anything. It can move around independent from like matter. So he would be able to move the sword around inside of her as if he's not even like, as if the sword's just moving through the air. And then he can basically use the shock attack whenever he wants to. So he's not actually cutting her, obviously, when the sword goes in, because I think he even says that. Then he does the electricity, and then that's what gets.
I mean, shit, is it even electricity?
Like, theoretically, he could even like put the sword through a poneglyph. It just wouldn't do anything to the poneglyph.
See, it's hard, right? Because it's like, I'm trying to think of, say if this was a Logia he did this to. That might be a good example, right?
Yeah.
He stabs him like this. Is the Logia then able to liquefy and just get away from the sword? Or is
I think anyone is able to basically just run away from it.
You do?
I don't think it like holds you in place, yeah. But then like if he puts it in you and then does the shock, it's gonna shock you from the inside.
Well, because what I'm saying here is the fact that it like is it like a flashlight then? You know, if you're touched by the light, you can be hurt. Is that like that's a bit like simplified there, because it's like the fact that it physically doesn't pierce you, you essentially go through the parts of it. The question I'm asking is when he extends it, does it tether to the part that he's specifically extended it through to? You know what I mean? Because when you look at Big Mom, when he shocks her, she moves, but she can't move past that sword bit. It's tethered to her. Like, her left arm flies up while she's screaming in pain, but her right arm is still stuck to her cheek.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which to me implies that it tethers the attack to the person. And it also seems like it's a one attack thing. Like, every time he does an attack, the sword resets size.
Yeah, like once he does the electrical blast, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things where it's like he's got to reset it each time, but if he makes contact with you once while he's trying to activate it, that's all it needs.
I think if it held you in place, I think why wouldn't he just stab them and then just stand there and be like, kill him?
I'm not saying it holds them in place. What I'm saying is because the effectiveness is the same, right? Where it's like if you touch the sword and then you get away from the sword or you run away from the sword, right? Mm-hmm. So like the same way that when Law cuts someone up in his normal room, that like their blood continues to flow from their torso to their lower half even though they're separated. Right? Like Kinemon's legs that are running around. Once you touch the sword is tethered to you for the attack. So it's really hard for him mobility-wise to aim the sword and get the sword. And the more of the sword, the longer the sword goes, the bigger the attack, right? But it's like one of those things where it's like once he touches you, bang, that's it. You're tethered to the attack. Not as in he holds you in place. Not as in he holds you in place, but as in like the rest of his ability, right? You're connected to it in that sort of trans-dimensional like effect that it has with the room.
I think it's possible. I don't think it'll happen in the series. I don't really know if it matters too much.
Because it's like if Law does that and extends it at, like, say, CP0, and then they shave out the way, are they still tethered to the attack? Is what I'm sort of getting at.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, like, that was like a specific thing that Oda wanted to definitely show, we would have had like Law like touch her with the sword and then walk away and then be like, "Oh, you ready to get hurt?" and then zap her.
Yeah, no, I
Something
don't
like that,
disagree with
right?
that. Do you know what we just need to turn around and do though?
Hmm.
We need to just straight up, like, give these people fucking props for how well they've done so far.
Yeah.
Like, they have absolutely tanked their way through this shit. It is ridiculous. On both sides. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing as well. Is like the thing to consider is we're used to Luffy like going more like over people's expectations, or even all the Straw Hats over people's expectations. But this was like even like the CP0 members are like, there's no hope that they're gonna win. Law and Kid took out a Yonko.
Will arguably have taken out a Yonko. We'll have to wait and see on it. I mean, at this point in time, I'm not against saying she's been taken out though.
Yeah,
I just think if she's been taken out, it hurts Kid more than anything. You know what I mean?
I think it's possible that she hasn't been, but I think for purposes of the story, we're supposed to believe that she has been.
If
So I choose to believe that she has been.
you know how Big
If
Mom's,
next chapter I get a cool surprise, then I'm happy.
you know how Big Mom's a goofy character. Do you know what I was hoping to see?
Yeah.
I was hoping to see when Law's like, I need you to prep her for an attack for me, right? I was hoping to see Kid do a sign and then make her legs repel or attract each other. So she did like the splits, or it was like she was handcuffed together and her legs just like lock up together and she fell over.
Yeah, yeah.
And then once she was on the ground, sort of bound, Law came in for the attack. Because it's like,
Yeah, that'd be good.
with that assign ability, there is so much you can do. Like, imagine if, like, I know we were talking earlier about Law. Why doesn't he just room people into the water? Why doesn't Kid just pick up a freaking cannonball, assign it and a magnetic pull, assign the other magnetic pull to someone else, and throw the ball in the water?
True.
You know, and it's like, even if it's not in the water when it's happening, it's like that person goes flying to the cannonball and just drops into the water and they're oofed. But then again, it's like, we
You
all...
put his power in perspective of not the One Piece world where people are so insanely strong.
Yeah.
The fact that he can just be like, all he has to really do is point at you, then point at anything, and you're gonna fly at that thing.
Yeah, it's like almighty push.
Yeah.
Like,
he just points at you, points at a tree. Now you're stuck on a tree. What are you gonna do?
we also don't know the extent of this, right? Like, we never saw him do it, so it's like you can't say either way. But like, he did it to a building, right? So inanimate objects can be affected. Could he get super like Law and Kid here, right? If you give them 20 years, so that they would naturally be the age of becoming a Yonko, right? With their durability, with their stamina, strength, the amount of time they can do their awakening, would it reach that Yonko level? And if it would, right, the next question to ask is like, how ridiculous could Kid get with the assign? Because like, could you imagine if NL is shooting like a bolt of lightning at him, and he assigns a magnetic pole to the lightning, and the lightning gets rediverted?
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Like, imagine if he's in his maximum potential when he's older, smarter, better, has more stamina, can redirect any attack by using his assign ability.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That would be some busted shit. Like
if he could just basically like, if his eyes designate things, so he doesn't have to point at all. So as you're like firing things at him, he's just using his eyes to like assign the projectiles to different things, and they're just flying away from him.
Imagine
You don't
Yonko.
know how he's doing it.
Imagine Yonko useless Captain Mid fighting Aokiji and Akainu and assigning them to each other, and they can't fight because one person's powers gets completely nullified while they're fighting.
It's good.
What a troll.
And the thing to consider as well is like Big Mom with all of her strength couldn't even start to get away from it. Like it seems to just be like kind of like Barto's barrier.
Yeah.
You just are there. Like
And
it's not a strength thing.
Big Mom's big and strong and sturdy. That building, well, she flew into the building, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she flew into the building. So arguably, because Big Mom's stronger than a building, from what we've seen. So maybe she got caught off guard here and her footing got taken out, right? But arguably, the north pole of the magnet is whatever the stationary thing is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that could be reading into it too much, and that's completely fine, because we've only seen it really once or twice. But it's
I think that's really hard because, like, the thing is that, like, let's say you put the U on, like, the other pole on,
Yep.
and it's, like, attached to a brick. Only that one brick flies out. You know what I mean? As opposed to the whole wall. It's kind of weird.
Well, I mean,
Whereas, like, when Big Mom turned around, she took, like, a significant chunk of the wall. I think the only way to really get away from it is to destroy whatever he's, like, attached the thing to. Can you imagine if he just stuck a bunch of people to... he turns out to be an antagonist and he beats the Straw Hats. Because Brook can basically live forever. He sticks Brook to a poneglyph. Brook can never destroy the poneglyph and can never get free. And he never dies.
I mean, do you know what?
He's just permanently attached to the
Oh,
poneglyph.
dude, as if Kid isn't sailing around with his ship laced with poneglyphs on the outside for defense. That would be funny as shit. Imagine that. Imagine being it as. Do you know what? That might need to be a video that we do, because I know we've talked about like the Supernova in the past and their rankings, and we even tried to do a ship ranking at one point. Who would be the best Supernova in sea battle? Because right now with Kids Awakening, could you imagine trying to shoot a cannonball at this motherfucker, and he assigns the cannonball back to your ship?
Yeah, it's really annoying how we don't see many like ship battles. It's really annoying because it's like there's no way they would use cannons to fight, right? In the new world. No way. But they still have them on all the ships.
I mean, the cannons are super effective. I mean, look at Kaido's crew. They have like long range sniper cannons. Big Mom has homie cannons that can like dodge. So it's like the cannons are really effective. It's just only if you've got a busted ass like some stacked ability on it.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I guess yeah, against like a normal ship, they're really effective. But against like it is cannons have literally never worked against the Straw Hat crew.
No.
Because Sanji can kick them, Zoro can cut them, and Luffy can bounce them back.
Question for you. Right? Does the fact that Kid and Law are hurting Big Mom here, like, I'm not saying it makes her weak. I need to preface that. But does the fact that they're injuring her in any capacity down credit her durability or tankability, or hype up potentially other characters' attacks against Yonko? Like, say, how effective an Admiral is against a Yonko, in your eyes?
That's kind of what I was saying. Is like I've had a really big like shift of perspective, and like to me, it's like I no longer see Yonko as like these unkillable like gods that it's like you have to be insanely strong. I think like 2 or 3 first division commanders could probably take down a Yonko.
3 first divisions?
Probably 3, yeah. 2 would be like they would have to do something heroic.
Oh, honestly,
like 3 probably could.
I don't.
Wear them.
I don't know if I could say 2 could do it. In all honesty,
when I say 2, I mean like basically what Kid and Killer, what
Kid,
Law and Kid,
yeah,
have done here. Like I wouldn't consider them anything over a first division, to be honest.
See, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, here's the thing. I would probably consider Law. Oh, even then, I don't know because I think of it like, can Law keep up with?
I had
can't keep up with Katakuri.
On my top 50 list, I had Law and Kid over all the first commanders except for Marco, Cat, and Ben.
Hey, but that's 3 of the 4.
5. Had Shiryu and King down below.
Yeah, but that's fair. Wait, King?
Yeah.
I don't know if Law could keep up with. Yeah, I think I did the same actually.
King's speed was hard for Zoro, and being hyped up against Zoro, but Law's always been faster than Zoro by a significant margin anyway.
I don't know about that, because the thing is that while Zoro never runs fast, he has blocked things that are like I think people
But
downplay
Zoro
Zoro's.
never failed to block King. The only time
Yeah,
Zoro got hurt
yes,
against
but
King is when he got countered.
there was a few times when he like only just got his blades up to block, and he was like, "Damn, he's so fast."
Yeah,
But that's impressive as it is, right? That's basically like someone shaving at you
yeah,
and you block it.
yeah. I don't disagree with that. But it's like I still see Law beating that pretty reasonably.
I don't think Law has had any speed feats whatsoever because he just blinks around and does his attacks, right?
Keeping up with Thunder Bagua, blocking Kaido and Big Mom arguably. Not to mention like when he is in a situation where someone's faster than him, like Virgo, makes a room just so big that he just counters it by just cutting them with a bigger area.
But, yeah, but you just then said that Virgo is faster than Law, and I don't consider Virgo fast in any means.
I don't know, man. Virgo was keeping up with Sanji,
Sure.
but Sanji's
Well, I mean,
Sanji's arguably more comparable to King in speed than any other character we've seen.
now Sanji, yeah,
No, now Sanji's over King, but by fucking far.
not by far.
By
He is
far.
over, but not
By
by
far.
far.
By far. In terms of speed, by far. I
I think you need to look again at King's fight
I will
because
look at it right now.
he was basically moving so fast that he was like equivalent to shaving without even shaving.
No, he was always visible. Like,
Like
he was never shaving
he,
fast.
he would be like in the sky, and then Zoro would look at him, and then suddenly Zoro brings his swords up and he's right in front of his face.
I don't think it was ever that intense with it, man.
It was pretty bloody quick.
Um,
Like because his speed was like he would close distance of like dozens of meters in the time that it takes for Zoro to lift his blade up. If you see how fast paced Zoro's like swordsmanship fights are,
how far back
to
in the
move his
fight do you
blade
want me to
really
go for
quick.
it? Because I'm on 132 at the moment, which they're out on the outside of Onigashima now fighting.
Right, right before when he was saying, "Oh, I've got to figure out your trick."
Yep, that's okay. That would be the chapter I'm on now because he does the face pullback sniper shot thing. That attack was fast because Zoro also doesn't really expect it to come or be like a big attack, like where he pulls his head back. That's more of an attack range. That's not like movement speed there. You know what I mean? Like Kaido's
Yeah,
movement speed's pretty slow, but his attack speed's fucking off the charts. You know what I mean? So
Kaido.
yeah,
Um,
Kaido and Big Mom don't have a good sprint speed, but like when they're doing an attack, they can close unknown distances nearly instantly for an attack.
yeah, but when you say like for an attack, I would say that's because it's like a specifically like a Thunder Bagua.
No, but that's what I'm saying. And that's attack power
Yeah,
versus
but that's
movement speed,
part of
travel
the
speed.
attack. That's like Zoro's onigiri. That's like saying
Yeah,
Zoro's attack speed is insanely fast.
it is. That's what I'm saying though. I give that credit to everyone.
His
Like
onigiri.
King has specific high speed ranged attacks, but he's not like an overtly super fast person. Like I'm looking at him here, he's flying around, he's coming in, and he's not moving really fast at all. He's actually kind of slow. Zoro's sending out heaps of attacks. He drops out of his he drops into hybrid form, then comes down into human form. He's just overpowers Zoro. There's no speed aspect to it there. Got to go to the next chapter already. Like,
King's like entire thing is that he's either insanely tanky or insanely fast.
but him being insanely fast, he's by no means one of the he's not the fastest person we've seen by a fair bit. Like the fastest we see him move is that sprint attack he does to Zoro, where Zoro stabs him and he explodes. And I'm looking at that right now. He's like 5 to 10 meters away, and he doesn't even shave. He just sprints at him and stands solid. And Zoro's like, "What?" Stab, explosion. And Zoro says he's fast, but in the same chapter, we have Sanji versus Queen, where they're like speed blitzing, like Sanji's speed blitzing. King seems to be a lot more power based, and he's got high attack power and attack speed, and he's got the mobility of the flight, but he doesn't seem like a really fast person in this fight.
He definitely does though.
I'm literally.
There's literal times when Zoro was like, I can't keep up with your speed, and Zoro is incredibly fast himself.
I mean, yeah, but Zoro was also like Zoro's speed is very different to the fastest people in the series. He's got good reaction speed, and his reaction speed's struggling, but he's still keeping up completely.
Yeah, but it's very easy to react. Like the movement that he needs to do to react to an attack is much more than someone closing dozens of meters worth of distance to attack.
Exactly, but I mean, we're
That's
talking
what I'm
about.
saying is that King is literally closing dozens
But
of meters of distance.
we see Sanji do way faster than that. No raid suit, no Germa power up.
I already agreed that Sanji is faster than him, but not by a significant
But
margin.
that's what I'm saying. I'm literally looking through the panels right now. Go to 132, because it's 132 and 133, and then 134, and the fight's pretty much over. Right? So it's 3 chapters. There is dialogue of Zoro saying, like, you're fast, but if you're looking at the panels, he's not moving all that fast. We see significantly faster people than him quite regularly.
Okay, yeah, look at this one. And he says, so dinosaurs are basically like dragons, da 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 da. And then he's in the sky.
Yep.
Like actually like 50, 100, maybe 200 meters away. Next panel, he's there. And Zoro is like.
Is this after? Is that after the rope twister, the dragon rope twister?
Yeah.
No, he's not that far away.
He's heaps far away. Look at him. He's in the distance.
That's 132, right? That's 132?
Yeah, 132. He's at least 50 meters away. He's flying. He's hovering in the sky.
I mean, we see Sanji move 50 meters twice in under a second. Like, there and back.
I get that.
And no. Look, he's in the air. He's like 50, 100 meters away, whatever you want to call it. He's coming in towards Zoro. He's flying in towards Zoro. He's doing shots at Zoro. Zoro does a dragon twister, and he's only, say, 20 meters up in the air there. He blocks it.
20 meters up in the air. He's so far away there. You can literally see like big stone structures and stuff.
Those stone structures aren't that big, man. That's just the side of Onigashima where they've been fighting.
I know, but they're not like right in front of Zoro. He is well far away there, and then suddenly, bang, he's in front of him.
If you scroll up a little bit further up, you can see a bit of a better like comparison of where Zoro is to them.
I've seen that. I've looked at it. He's pretty bloody far away.
It's like 20 to 30 meters max.
He's not in the exact place that Dragon Twister is. You can see a clear panel. He's flying. He's not directly above Zoro. In that panel that
No, but then he's flying.
Dragon Twister, he's directly above Zoro.
He's flying in towards Zoro. So King closes the distance. Zoro does it a 360-pound Phoenix. King dodges and comes directly above Zoro. And then once King's directly above Zoro, Zoro jumps to the side and does the Dragon Twister.
Talking about after that bit.
After the Dragon Twister?
After the Dragon Twister, you can see him. He's in the air. The dialogue, he says, so dinosaurs are basically like dragons, da 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 da. You can see he's at least like 100-ish meters away there. He's in the sky in the distance. And then he says something, not moving. He says something. Next panel, boom,
he's like 20 meters away, and then he flies in, drops out of base, and then comes in with a slash. I don't think it's. I do not think it's as far as you're considering it there, because you see in the next panel. You see in the next panel after that, Zoro gets sent through one of those mountains. It's not that far away.
Look in the panel where they clash. There is 3 exclamation marks, and Zoro has the what the fuck, the nani?
Yeah, he's reacting because King just came in as a full pterodactyl and drops into human form for that slash. And then if you look at the next page underneath that, King hits him through a mountain. The mountain's not that far away.
That's pretty far away. And that's not that mountain that I was talking about.
The snowy topped mountain?
That's the mountain behind Zoro.
There is no mountain behind Zoro. The only mountains are on the edge. It's the same mountain that you see if you go back in.
Look at the panel where he says, so dinosaurs are basically like dragons. Look to the right of Zoro, you can see snowy capped mountains. The right of the dialogue.
Yes, but that's not behind him. Both of those are the edge. Oh, where King is there, right? He's on the edge of Onigashima. There's nothing behind Zoro is the castle.
But there's little rocks everywhere around them.
All that is the edge. That's all a cliff face, essentially.
but I think it's pretty clear that he's literally like at least 100 meters away there. Next panel,
I mean,
he's
look,
he's like talking to him. Next panel, he's right in front of him.
I wouldn't say he's
And
100
you've got
meters away, but even if you
you've got
said that,
three exclamation points, and you've got Zoro being like,
even
"Nani, how the fuck did you get so close?"
I wouldn't say I mean, he's not saying Nani's that close. Like, he's reacting because he's come down for a slash. It's an attack. And if you look down, Zoro gets sent flying, and you can see Zoro's on the cliff face, sort of thing. Like, King drops down on him and then hits him back to where he came from.
And like King's literal entire thing is that he's fast.
Yeah, no. I mean, no, his entire thing is he's tanky, but he's also really fast. I'm not downplaying the King's...
He's tanky or he's really fast.
I'm not down...
So his speed matches his tankiness.
I'm not... No. Nowhere near. Nowhere near matches his tankiness. He's slower than Marco. He's slower than Sanji. At this point in time, he's fast, but like he hasn't even showcased an ability to shave yet. Like, anyone that's shaving is moving faster than him.
Shave is the 5 powers. No one's shown an ability to shave, except for the people that have the 5 powers, 6 powers.
And Luffy and Sanji. I mean...
Luffy is Gear 2 running, and Sanji is just really fast.
I mean, he's fast. I don't think he's as fast as you're saying. I genuinely don't.
I think when you have dialogue where Zoro is literally saying, "Holy shit, you're fast," you can assume.
Okay, where
fast.
like, give me the exact spot. We'll go over where he says he's fast. Because like I know he's fast and I know he says it right. I'm just looking for the context of when he says it because it might be way further back. Because I mean like. King's whole thing, the entire fight against Zoro, is he's just overpowering Zoro while Zoro's swords, like, blitzing him. And King's fast enough to close the gap, but he's nowhere near... Like, he's nowhere near the other fast people. You know what I mean?
I think he's well near them. I think he's the fastest.
I wouldn't put him in the top 10, let alone maybe even top 15 fastest.
Who are you putting him in the top 10 then?
Okay. For starters, anyone that can shave is going above him for speed, even if he's physically stronger and can catch them with like power.
You can't shave mid-fight though. Shave is not much of a feat. It's just like, I want to be there now.
People can shave in mid-fight though. We see CPs do it all the fucking time.
So when you say anyone with shave, you mean only the people that have like absolute mastery over shave and can literally shave mid-fight.
We've even seen Dofi do it.
I think Dofi's shaved.
We saw, just rereading it, right? In the Gear 4 versus Doflamingo fight, it's still the first chapter, so it should be the same chapter as when Gear 4 was first introduced. Luffy hits Dofi 3 times. The 4th attack from memory, Dofi shaves past it.
Does he say shave?
No.
Does he just move quick?
You see where his body is. It has the shave like lines, and he's like halfway past it, coming in.
In the same shave lines that Luffy does, because Luffy doesn't use shave.
Yes.
Luffy just moves fast.
Yes, but I mean, even those lines, that's more speed than anything we've seen from King. King doesn't even get the speed lines from Oda.
He gets literally Zoro saying, "Holy shit, you're fast." Zoro, who knows how fast Sanji is, knows how fast Luffy is, etc. Like, he's been seeing Luffy fighting in Gear 2 for like years. Not he hasn't been with him for years, but known Luffy for years. Luffy fights in Gear 2 all the time around him. He knows what fast is.
Can Law's scan keep up with current Sanji's speed? Scan is a passive ability. Scan can keep up with Sanji's speed, yeah, but I mean, the whole point of Scan is it locates everything of a certain item in Law's room. So, like, Law's Scan... Sorry, I'm answering the chat here. Law's Scan is like a passive ability. Like, if Law put a room up and Sanji's invisible floating around in the room, like, doing his speed thing, and Sanji did, like, scan Sanji's shoes, he could take his shoes, regardless of where Sanji is and how fast he is in that room. Because it's like a passive ability. You would agree with that, wouldn't you?
I don't think his scan is that useful.
It doesn't have a lot of combat ability, but you don't reckon it would do that? Because the whole thing is...
it could do that, yeah.
It literally just locates an item in his room and so it like highlights itself for him, so he
Yeah,
can just
yeah, yeah,
shambles
yeah.
it. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't necessarily have like in his room he can control pretty much everything. You know what I mean? Like if Sanji's in his room, Law can still shambles him and Sanji and swap places, regardless of how fast Sanji's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's under the same premise there to me. Yo, I cannot wait until I have all of Onigashima in hard copy. This Wano has been such a freaking fun arc. It has had so many good moments. Don't you reckon?
Yeah, it kind of should though, right? Because all the build up.
I mean, yeah, look,
Like the thing is that like the fact that some people say that this time skip is like worse than pre-time skip, it's purely because it's all been a build up for this arc. So this is basically all of post time skip in one, like all the best moments
yeah.
of post time skip in one arc.
I mean,
It's
more than
what it's
that,
been
like
leading to.
Kaido literally represents every single opponent Luffy's fought. Like there are aspects from all of the main villains of all the arcs that are represented in Kaido in like little capacities here and there. You know what I mean? Like like he does the tail grab that Rob Lucci does to attack Luffy. You know what I'm saying? He does like he borrows moves from other people. Like Oda's used moves from other characters that we've had Luffy fight against in the past and gives them a better version to Kaido. And Kaido has just been like the definition of stacked and jacked. You know what I mean? Like he literally has just been hyped so much, and it's so fucking good. It
And
is.
I
So
wish I could read through all these chapters like at the same time rather than
in bulk.
one at a time.
Oh,
Yeah. Like
mate,
you get a whole different experience.
you do. You 100% do. That's why whenever I've been rereading arcs and that, I've been having a whole different appreciation for them. I mean, like, look, if you asked me 3 years ago who my favorite character was, I would tell you it was Law. A year or two after that, I would have said it was Katakuri. Now I'm sitting here, I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can pass up Luffy as my favorite character. It is,
Luffy's a man.
dude, rereading the series, like, it's like being a kid when you watch One Piece, and it's like, I love Whitebeard, fuck the world government, they're shit. And then you get old enough to understand, like it's like, you know, like, you watch Marineford, and it's like, Whitebeard's a great character. Oh my god, Blackbeard's such a scumbag. I can't believe he beat Whitebeard in a one-on-one fight. And then you get older and you're like, Blackbeard did shit all to that man. If anyone gets credit for him, it's Akainu. And even then, it's like Akainu got some good hits in. Akainu got hit. Man got hit.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell in that situation, right? If Oda didn't need to keep either one of them alive for a specific, like, if Akainu beat Whitebeard, you don't get the One Piece's real moment. You don't get the Whitebeard and Blackbeard stuff, right? So narratively, Whitebeard has to stay alive there. But at the same point in time, right? Like when you first saw it, you can't lie to me. You thought Akainu got killed there at first, didn't you? When that island gets split and that man goes down.
I watched in bulk, so I think I just kind of like was like, oh, what's gonna happen next? Like that was my mentality the whole time.
I remember being like, oh, that man's dead. Gets up like an episode later. If you're reading the manga, gets up less than a chapter later, and then 1v16s. A Warlord and a Yonko crew, but fuck, whatever. Man is what he is. How filthy is that? Hiyori and Orochi. What do you think's gonna happen there? Do you think, because with a bit more context this chapter, you pretty much nailed it, right? Where it's like that hole's been made up now, so maybe Yamato can get rid of the explosives. If those explosives don't go off, Orochi's gonna shit himself, right? He's gonna be like, oh shit. When he's in that confusion, is that time for Hiyori to just pull out a little dagger and just stab that man in the heart, cut that man's throat or something?
I don't know what's gonna happen there. I think it's gonna probably have something to do with Frankie and Zoro.
Really? Ooh.
Goal.
I mean, I want Zoro there present, But if anyone
I mean, like,
at this,
Frankie is running over to Zoro right now. They're gonna have to show something there. Zoro is dealing with this skeleton
but I mean,
thingy.
she's down in the basement.
Yeah, but they're right near each other, right?
No, no.
They could literally like open
Zoro's
the door. And see
Zoro's
them.
no Zoro's 3 levels up and to the left.
Didn't Orochi like literally talk about their fight that they're fighting?
No, Orochi's down in the bottom basement underneath Yamato. In the treasure repository.
Hey,
Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Hang on.
I'm pretty sure like there was because everyone was saying like, oh, Zoro's gonna beat King and then go
Yeah,
kill
yeah, yeah.
Big Man. He's right next door.
They're not next door though. I'm pretty sure they're not next door. Where's the? I need a map of Onigashima. Let's go.
It's all more Luffy and Kaido. That's all I care about. Be more Luffy and Kaido. Screw the bombs. Bombs in the basement. Like any other time, that would be like a cool plot line, and I'd be like really interested to see what happens. But when we've got so many high tier fights going on, it's just filler.
Honestly, it. Okay. Here we go. No, that's not it. It's so hard because all the maps are showing them in slightly different spots. Because you can see there's 7 levels of Onigashima. Zoro's on level 1 outside at the moment. But then you got the 2 basement levels that go underneath the castle. And so Yamato's in basement 2 with that thing that's going to explode. And I'm pretty sure Orochi's close to it. He's in one of the basement levels.
I don't remember what chapter it was. Very uninterested in Orochi. To me, he's just like that little shit. Just like, get out of the series.
Honestly, I do not disagree with. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. No, he's on the 3rd floor. Oh, actually, no. This could be an old map. That could have been an old map because it shows him on the same level as Raizo and Fukurojuko. But he's around that sort of like. I can't remember if it's above or below, but he's away from Zoro by a couple of levels. Yeah, Getting Soil's right, guys. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell icon for more notifications, content like this, all that good stuff. It is appreciated. All right, we're at 99 subscribers at the moment. Be the 100th subscriber. Help us hit triple digits. Do it.
Maxwell has the best takes.
What was that? Did you?
The best takes.
I'm not gonna fight that. Can't fight that. Tell you what, rereading the series, my favorite panel is still Zoro vs. Braham, but I have a new appreciation for the art in Marineford. It really is in the manga, like you know how Oda changes art each arc, and it's really subtle. People don't really pick up on it too much, but he changes like how he draws the background based on cultures and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Marineford is fucking start to finish set up like a widescreen Lord of the Rings movie. You know what I mean? Like, if you go back and look at the panels and stuff like that, a lot of the panels are like, you've got like the heavenly white background. There's not a lot of, like, there's not a heap of uber detail unless it's like a shot of the battlefield. Whereas in every other arc, he's like doing crazy shit in the background, doing heaps of like, focus on this, focus on that. Really tried to give that Whitebeard like that, that little bit of extra spice of being like, yeah, this man is like legendary. He's got that Lord of the Rings sort of cinematography going for him. How many chapters do you reckon it'll take for Kaido and Luffy to wrap up?
I don't know. Couple. It depends how much shit is going to get put in the middle. Because, I mean, they could do the entire CP0 thing before it ends, you know what I mean? It's just...
Would you be mad if this arc ends and Kaido never uses an awakened fruit in any capacity? And no one uses an awakened fruit in any capacity other than Law and Kid.
I wouldn't be mad, but it's not Kaido. I want Luffy too.
So you wouldn't feel let down if any of the Yonko, if they do have an awakening, don't utilize it?
No, because they have busted ass fruits. Thing is that like Big Mom, I think, has gone down, so she hasn't used her awakening, and she had it probably at the youngest age.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yo, could you imagine if she's literally got like a hole burnt through her? She's like on the verge of death. She looks over, heals herself completely.
Or her soul comes out of her body. It turns out her awakening is that she can also control her own soul.
Turns out, actually, it was never Big Mum that ate the fruit. Carmel was just stuck inside her stomach doing a Dr. Oz. Law's panels are clean. Yo, Law does have some clean panels in the story. Will you be mad if new gear won't come? Nah. In all honesty, I think Luffy needs one Gear 4 form more for Gear 4 to be done. 4 Gear 4 forms, I think, would round it out to me before a new gear.
I think if he's gonna get a new gear, he needs to awaken. Because there has to be like some reason he hasn't figured out this new gear already.
I think possibly if he's gonna do a new gear, or like so we've got Tank Man, Snake Man, and Bound Man, right?
Yeah.
I could see if there's a third one, it's Luffy using his fourth one, sorry, it's Luffy using his awakening, and his fourth form of Gear 4 is his awakening, and then Gear 5 is him combining everything. All 3 types of advanced Haki, awakening, all in one. You know what I mean?
I think if he gets a fourth form, we won't get a Gear 5. But didn't Oda kind of allude that there's going to be a Gear 5?
Yeah, but I mean, at the same point in time, like, he can have another Gear 4 form and it just be functional. Like, Gear 4, whatever form, and it's just him using his awakening while he's in base with his Haki, right? And then Gear 5 could be some, like, better version of all Gear 4 forms sort of merged together while he's awakened. Because, I mean, like, Luffy learns shave and all that sort of stuff. Doesn't call it shave. He just starts going, yeah, this is my Gear 2. And I'm increasing my blood flow. Eat shit. You know what I mean? Just because other people call certain things doesn't mean he doesn't, like, take it and put his own name on it and rebrand it. Will Luffy get an awakening? Yeah. Luffy doesn't need an awakening this arc, but yes, he's getting an awakening hands down. His awakening is going to be super crucial against Blackbeard, in my opinion. Because Luffy is set up perfectly to counter Blackbeard so far. In terms of Devil Fruit, his Rubber Fruit sort of arguably negates the Quake Fruit. Then Luffy's awakening would negate area damage from the Tremor Fruit. Like, if Luffy was to fight, like, Blackbeard on Fishman Island, and he turned Fishman Island into rubber, Fishman Island's not getting destroyed. You know what I mean? Mm. But then with the Haki's really interesting because of the Yummy Yummy no Mi. You know what I mean? Like, we don't talk enough about how, Blackbeard's Yummy Yummy no Mi way outpaced Gear 2. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Luffy goes Gear 2 and he goes to like attack Blackbeard and Blackbeard just goes Vortex. And Luffy's stuck in his hand and then just get body slammed. Like it was nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Then again, like, I mean, Blackbeard was like first division level.
Yeah. But like Blackbeard, like his Darkness Fruit, we still don't have a really good speed cap on it, do we? He could sit there, right? And like, I mean, even if his Quakes are null and voided from Luffy's Devil Fruit abilities, right? And it's like Luffy and his Haki versus Blackbeard and the Dark Fruit. It's like the Dark Fruit sucks everything into it, so Luffy already has to fight in the air because the fruit will drag you. Like if it's lacing on the ground, it'll drag you in, right?
Yeah.
Plus, he's also got to avoid him getting sucked in by the vortex because arguably that vortex will just like straight up us him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not to mention like anything else on top of that, because it's like you got to think of it. It's like Luffy with advanced armament, Haki, and all that will be a good fight against Blackbeard at range. If Blackbeard touches this man once, all that Hakis are going to be essentially useless, and his Devil Fruit will be useless against the Tremor of Tremor no Mi. Like, yeah. Luffy may be able to get, like, a Rio barrier up. Maybe. But what the shit does that matter if Blackbeard literally is holding him and just beating this man down? You know? Like, a lot of people forget this. Blackbeard is regarded as one of the physically strongest people in the series. Like, he was... Remember when he fought Ace, right? One attack from him, Ace literally said to him, if I didn't dodge that perfectly then, he would have instantly killed me and broke my neck.
Yeah.
This man's just coming in with a karate chop, just like, hiya! Ussing people. Then we have, like, in the Ace novel and stuff like that, we have Blackbeard one-shotting 80 mil bounties like it's nothing while he's, like, needing to go take a shit. My dude out here like Magellan, just like, yeah, I don't have time for this. Just gonna slap a bitch through a building and go home. Not, I mean, that same Blackbeard scarred Shanks. So it's like, there is some fucking shit to be done there. Which do you think... okay, we've just had the question asked. What do you think the fruit was talked about at the end of 137? So I'm assuming that's the one with the Gorosei. I know you have your opinion on this. Do you wanna field this one?
I just think it's Luffy.
I'm by no means against it being Luffy. I think there's a possibility that it could be someone else because that is such a broken conversation that we don't know who or what is doing what. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, shit. For all we know, they're talking about Wano. We cut away. We hear the normal soldiers talking. For all we know, they're talking about Blackbeard at that point in time in the second half of the conversation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's such a broken conversation that it could literally be anyone. So I think the person that people thinks it is just who they want it to be.
Yeah.
It's not really like who it probably is. Yeah.
I know you feel
There's just no way of gleaning.
I know you feel like it would be really cool if it was Luffy. Personally, I kind of go the opposite route with it, where I'm like, I feel like it would sort of hurt my perception of Luffy if it was him, but I'm not against it either. You know what I mean?
I just feel like it'd be really dumb if basically this whole arc they're just talking about his fruit. Like they had the origin of like how like that it was on the government ship and then Shanks stole it, and it's like why the hell did Shanks go to like the East Blue to steal it? Sure, maybe he was just on the way, but then there's like also when Kaido was like, the gum fruit, that's weird. Like after he knocked him off the Onigashima. It was like, the gum fruit you said, that's weird.
Oh, no, he didn't say gum fruit. He's like, because Luffy was going to use Gear 4. So he was like, gum, what was that?
He was saying like, gomu no, and then he was like, actually, he said like, it's not good enough yet, or something like that. He said something like,
no, because...
which seemed to imply just that he's not good enough at fighting.
Yeah. I think what that was like, Luffy was trying to use like a new Gear 4 attack, and kind of beat his fucking ass down. He's like, gum, what, bitch? Like when Kaido one-shot him at the beginning of the arc and was like, "King of what, bitch?" You know what? Kaido's a bit of a sassy dude, eh? I love him. That being said, though, which individual Gorosei? Oh, okay. The question's been asked: which individual are the Gorosei talking about to kill? Ooh, that's a hard one. It's okay. We got the panel up here. It's impossible. Oh no, it's the first bit. Sorry. It's as if this year's reverie was cursed. We should put what happened aside for now. One is the more pressing issue. There was no way of knowing that the battle would go on this far. Nico Robin must be captured by now. It's time to act. It wouldn't be out of place for someone to die unexpectedly during a war that involves Kaido and Big Mom. This is our chance to erase that nuisance. I'm not going to lie. Reading it like that, it sounds like they're just trying to kill Robin.
Yeah, I'm thinking it could be Robin. I actually think, like, I don't think it necessarily is, but it's, like, possible that it's King. Because, like, they probably wanted to kill him because they knew that he was that raised for ages, but he's been protected by Kaido.
My top 4 picks are King, Robin, Who's Who?
Yeah.
Or 4th mysterious person that they're directly talking about the devil fruit of. If they are talking about someone here and their devil fruit. And the point of it is that it is ambiguous for us to not 100% get it.
Yeah, and you've also got to think, like, the that purge thing will be, and, like, the wanted posters that, was it Im that was holding?
The light to
One of them was
extinguish.
Luffy. So maybe, maybe Im just said, like, to the Gorosei, I want Luffy dead, and that's why they want Luffy dead. Like, it could be Luffy eyes as well. So many people it could be.
Here's a pressing set of questions for you. Right? I know I was talking about it before. This is just me hammering home because, like, we're talking about there's a lot of setup of stuff outside of Wano, right? What do you think happened to Moria with Blackbeard? Do you think Moria's going to join the crew, or do you think they're going to kill him and take the fruit?
I don't know. I think maybe Moria will join the crew. I mean, his power works well, but then again, that's just also another argument why you should just kill him and take the fruit.
Because that's also another reason why this next thing could be even more jacked up. Because we know that Perona's going to try and meet up with Moria. And if they kill Moria and take his fruit, and Perona shows up and they kill Perona and take her fruit.
Yeah.
Could you imagine?
And then Mihawk shows up and they kill Mihawk and take the mythical Hawk fruit.
No, but I mean, think of it. Perona's fruit can arguably stop people's ability to use Haki.
Wait, sorry, bonus meme. Hawkeye Mihawk. What if he has a mythical hawk fruit, Mihawk, and then because of that fruit, he's always got hawk eyes, and then no one knows his actual name. They just call him Hawk.
I've seen so many people in my life that used to be like, yeah, Mihawk's got a devil fruit, he's got a hawk fruit. Why do you think he's so strong? He's a zone. And I'm dead set there, just like, y'all just making fun of a dude with a disability. He just got bad eyes, man. You don't go to bloody Specsavers and start laughing at the people that need glasses, do you?
There has to be an explanation about it, though. Surely.
I think it's just the best form of observation Haki, other than future sight. I reckon.
I'm really keen for whatever the explanation is, because as soon as we hear what it is, it's going to be also what's his name? Yeah, Im has it, right? So if it's a race or something, then Im is that
the
race.
The problem there is as well. Robin occasionally has eyes drawn like that, and so does Hakuba.
Yeah, right.
So it's like, it could just be like, we're reaching. But what I will say is, if it is an observation Haki thing, like, one thing to point out, ever since Mihawk's introduction, go back to chapter 50, alright? Go back and read it. Mihawk is a conservative fighter, right? Like, we see Kaido and Big Mom doing these massive projectile slashes. I mean, shit, we even see Law, Zoro, and Yamato doing them, right? We know Mihawk's capable of them, but Mihawk, from his introduction, he literally says, like, I don't hunt rabbits with a cannon. I don't go all out against fodder. Like, part of the skill is, like, how can I beat them with using as little skill as possible? You know what I mean? Mihawk's first fight with Zoro, and you got to remember, Mihawk's whole epithet was going to be the clairvoyant, right? Originally, not Mihawk or Hawkeye.
Uh-huh.
In his fight against Zoro, you got to think Zoro comes in with the 3 sword style. Mihawk stops all 3 swords by pinpointing the one spot where all 3 swords connect. Like Zoro, Mihawk's whole thing is like his perception hug is through the roof. Even in Marineford, he was like standing there and he's like, Luffy, you're still in my range. Turns his head 90 degrees, sends out a slash, trips Luffy over, speed blitzes in, Luffy ducks, and all of a sudden you got the iceberg cut in half.
Yeah. By the way, I found top of 1014.
10-14? What's this?
Luffy falling off the island.
Far out. That's crazy to think it was that far ago. What was it again? Gomu Gomu no? Yep.
It was like, you managed to cut your blows with Conqueror's Haki, but your technique left a lot to be desired. Was it again? Gomu Gomu no? He's basically saying, like, your technique isn't good enough, and then he directly references his fruit. So he's saying, like, you've got the Haki, you don't have the fruit.
I read that as him saying, like, yeah, you got the Haki, but it's not that he doesn't have the fruit. It's like whenever Luffy does an attack, it's Gomu Gomu no, you know, like Gomu Gomu no Red Hawk, Gomu Gomu no Elephant Gatling. You know what I mean? I think it was just him mocking that. Like, what was the name of the attack? Gomu Gomu no what? Because we still remember we had Luffy training to do King Kong Gun.
Yeah.
And like with Rio, and we still have not seen that happen yet. So it could be like he was gonna try and do that, and we know how slow it is for him to charge that up, right? Kind of just beats this boy down. It's like, what was that? Gumma Gumma no what, bitch?
Yeah. But the thing is he's literally like, so in the previous chapter from this one, at the very end, he like puts his hands, like he face palms, like double hand face palms, and he goes, I shouldn't have gotten so worked up, because he's basically saying like, oh, I thought I had a good challenge on my hands, but I just fucking smashed you and I won anyway. He's like upset with himself for like winning so easily. And then in this one, he's basically musing to himself about like how if he almost was strong enough to like give him a fun challenge, and he's like, oh, you managed to do Conqueror's Haki with your blows, which is good. You can match me, but your technique left a lot to be desired. Originally, I thought, oh, Luffy's gonna come back and have like a different like way to use his fruit. And now that I've seen all this like stuff about like him having like this weird fruit, it's pretty interesting to me. And also, Kaido seems to know a lot about the world. He seems to know like a crazy amount about Joy Boy and stuff. Like the fact that he's like, what's that again? Gum fruit?
I think.
Yeah. And then right after he goes, seems like he couldn't be Joy Boy either. So basically, Kaido's hope in him is like, oh, you're gonna be so amazing. You're gonna fight me. It's gonna be great, and you're gonna be the next Joy Boy.
I mean, that's just Kaido in general on Wano, right? He set himself up on Wano to encounter Joy Boy. That's what's implied, isn't it? Because even King's like, you know, like King knows of Joy Boy. You know what I mean? Mm. And King's like, Kaido's like, you still think I'm Joy Boy? Nah, bruh. You know what I mean? So it's like, they're set up here specifically in relation to Joy Boy. Which, I mean, shoot me dead here. I'm going to get put on blast for saying this. Big Mom has enough in her character to be redeemable, right? You know, she's a misguided old hag. Yeah, no, but like she's just a kid that never got. She's just a kid that never got you know, taught a lesson. You know what I mean?
In most people's eyes, yes, but not in mine.
I mean, fair. That's a personal thing there, but it's like fuck. If Kaido's out here just like in his own mind, he's like out here gatekeeping for Joy Boy. I mean, shit. If Luffy beats Kaido and Big Mom, could you imagine flipping the shit if Kaido and Big Mom like are like, oh, you're the Pirate King. I'll be loyal to you. If that ever happened, like, and it probably will never happen because these people are scum, right? Luffy would never want to work with them. Fuck me dead if that ever happened. How broken would the internet be? Twitter, One Piece trending #1, like, oh, how divisive of a chapter would that be? half the fan base, I reckon, would be like, nah, I quit. The other half would be like, woo, what the fuck? But woo, you know what I mean? All right, we've got a question here. Do you think Zoro Enma is in transition to be a making it a Saijo? So do you think Zoro's going to make Enma a Black Blade?
Yes.
You do?
Not this arc anymore. But yes.
Do you think Zoro is going to keep Enma permanently?
I don't know. I don't think he has to. I don't think he has to. I think like, yeah.
Because we still have the Need Eye that's of the
I
same rank.
don't necessarily have anything to tell me that won't, but I don't think he has to. Like, I wouldn't be like, oh, really? He's losing Enma? Like, I wouldn't really.
Well, I mean, it kind of felt.
It's good, it's good training wheels for him, right? It sucks all of his haki out. He gets his training wheels, and then he gets rid of it.
But now he can already use Conqueror's Haki on his other swords, so he doesn't need the effect of Enma anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
And considering Enma is a legacy for Wano, right? It's no Shisui, but for Hiyori and Momo, that sword means a lot.
Yeah.
And we still have the setup of like the Need Eye just floating around Wano. Haven't seen it since Luffy got shit kicked by Kaido. We have no idea if it has an effect of any capacity. You know what I mean?
By the way, Luffy's growth in this one fight, or I guess two fights against Kaido, but then to be fair, most of his fights have been two fights against the same person. His fight against Kaido has grown him more than he's ever grown in the entire series by far.
Mm-hmm.
Like, adding Rio and Conqueror's Rio, and then potentially at the end of this, he learns some kind of secret about Joy Boy. Even if it's not a power up, it's still kind of like character development kind of deal. Like, I'm Joy Boy. Like, at the end of this fight,
Sorry,
he's like a genuinely completely different person.
I just got a flashback to a point I was working towards making before, but I got sidetracked with other stuff, right?
Mhm.
So, Moria, whatever. You think... Ooh, I'm going to sneeze. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. No, I'm not.
Those, eh?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah.
There we go. Big boy sneeze. Moria, whether or not you think he's dead or not, Perona's on her way over to the Blackbeard Pirates crew. If the Blackbeard Pirates kill her and take her fruit, do you have any idea how broken that is? And would that not essentially seal the death of the Red Hair Pirates? Because her fruit...
What, having Perona's fruit?
Yeah. Because her fruit directly attacks your willed power.
Well, I think it's more just your emotions, right? I don't know if it would take away your haki.
Well, it might stop your ability to activate your haki because you might be too depressed to activate haki.
Yeah, but I think only to the extent where it would also stop your ability to use your fruit. Because you just can't. You're just too depressed to do it. I don't know, because the thing is like, haki and willpower are kind of like intermingled, but I don't know if they're the exact same thing.
They are.
I don't know if Oda considers them exact same thing.
I think soul is a touch different, but haki and willpower are the same thing. Because haki is the word for willpower.
I get that, but I think it's a lot different, right? Because, okay, I guess I'll specify armament haki and perception haki and conqueror's haki are different from willpower. Because willpower is like just not that. It's just inherently not that.
I mean,
like,
it's how
I
you
would
weaponize your
willpower.
willpower.
It's to not eat macas tonight.
It's how you weaponize your willpower, though. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm willing to flex my hand, and eventually, if I do it really well enough, I'll have armament haki.
Yeah.
You know, I'm willing to be so good at Among Us that I can see the future and find out who the imposter is. It's you, Conjurer.
The thing is that like I used to think that they were the exact same thing, but then at the same time I had this thing in my head of like, eventually they should just be able to will anything to happen. No one does that in the whole series.
But
no one can just will something to happen.
But I think there is limitations on it, though, in that aspect. There's not limitations on how strong it can
That's
get.
the thing, but there's no limitations on willpower. You can genuinely will everything to happen. Like theoretically, if you can will your hand to be stronger, you can also will yourself to teleport. Like to be there. Like I really want to be there right
I
now,
mean,
and then you
that's
teleport.
sort of like teleportation, no, but that does work because I mean, when you get stronger haki, you can get faster. Your body can take more, so you can speed blitz quicker.
Yeah, but that's not what I'm saying.
Like it's not like you have.
For example, you don't have a devil fruit, but you're like, I really want to throw a fireball. I just really want to have fire in my hand
Yeah,
and throw it.
you don't get that, but
No
it's
one
like
could.
it's full control of yourself in that aspect, isn't it?
Mm,
That's where the limitation is. And that's what makes
possibly, but I mean,
conquerors. That's what makes conquerors different.
thing
It's
is,
the
like,
only way you can exert willpower over something else other than yourself.
seeing the future is like
But you're,
extra dimensional
but you're
power,
seeing your future.
and like projecting force from outside of your hand.
But you're
It's like
creating a barrier for yourself.
that's what I mean. Is you're basically like now it's chakra at this point.
I mean, yeah.
That's what I mean, it's not like it's a power. It's now a power system, not just a
I mean,
reflection of your will.
there's other forms that Haki takes though. That's not just into those categories neatly. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's the
There's like tarot reading, which is a form of Haki. There's there's the fortune telling. That like okay, you could say it's perception Haki, but it's not how we see
the
perception.
girl the fish girl that does that's
Yeah.
future sight, right?
No, because she doesn't see the future.
Unless she does.
Well, okay, then
everything can be right.
it's like Enel then in that capacity as well, and like Enel's got like observation Haki, but he was able to predict everyone that was alive in a 24-hour period. Are you saying he's got future sight?
I think he's just perceiving everything around him.
No, but he's perceiving it 24 hours in the future.
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. I don't know what the hell Enel's power was, because the whole point of Enel was that Haki didn't exist back then, and he was just had all these weird powers that were godlike.
Well, I mean, even then though, we don't necessarily know if that's true because Haki starts getting thrown around as a term straight after that.
Yeah,
With Shanks
like,
and that, like the argument now is really hard of when did Oda think of what Haki was and how to use it, because until he directly comes out in an interview and tells you when, it's like he was planting the seeds back then very clearly. He uses the word Haki back then in that time slot when you have Shanks meeting Whitebeard. That is one of the first times they specifically go like, "Oh, you're using Haki powers."
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
But then that's the thing though, is that like you could have this like vague thing in his mind of like, for example, with Zoro fighting Mr. One.
yep,
Could have been that he had this vague idea of, I want swordsmen to have this like unique ability called the breath of the sword, or whatever he called it back then, and that's like a unique swordsman ability. But then eventually, as the story continued, he just made it Haki.
I mean, there is
Like
potential.
it could be things like that. Like even with Shanks, he could have had this vague idea of like, I want Shanks to have this like unique power
There-
that he will pass out, and then he eventually just turns it into conquest.
There is potential for that, yes. Except like even with the Zoroverse, Mr. One, you literally have Zoro using observation Haki as we see it in Dressrosa, right? Where everything's blacked out. He can see stuff around him. He's looking around. He's like, I'm hyper focused on everything that's going around. And then he's like, this is similar, but this isn't the ability to cut everything. But I now know how to cut everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean you could just call that retconning, right? Like in Dressrosa, they just retconned it and did the same
But
thing that they did earlier.
but the thing is, it doesn't matter if it wasn't
What I mean is like he probably had a general idea of the powers that he wanted people to have, and that weren't devil fruit related, and he probably had like this general idea, but it probably wasn't fully formed until he started describing.
But it's still
At that point, it was
consistent
like,
enough though that it's like back then. Like by
Yeah, it's consistent enough that you can call it haki. Yes, I
But-
agree with that.
but by then though, there's a consistent pattern in what you can do with it.
I get that, but the thing is that back then, like when he makes the rule after the war or whatever, whenever he first started introducing haki, he could just have looked back on the series and made sure that he got that he fit everything, so there wasn't any plot holes.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is like, but like what I'm saying is like I agree that all those things that happened in the past were haki, but it's possible that like it was more just like this vague power that he wanted.
True, but it's like,
and then he kind of eventually retconned them into haki.
but that's the thing where it's like, because we look at haki and we go, there's 3 types of haki. There's not. There's more than 3 types of haki.
Mhm.
And I'm not just talking about the techniques involved in haki. Like, Rayleigh literally, like, that whole training session is like, I'm generalizing that there's roughly 3 types of haki. There's more than that, but you can arguably summarize everything up as 3 types of haki. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like, we see examples of other stuff where it's like, I mean, like, the voice of all things. Is that observation haki? Conqueror's haki? What the fuck is that?
I don't know. It could just be a destiny thing. We don't like force of fate.
But it's still like a willpower entangled thing, though, in some capacity, isn't it?
Possibly, I don't know. It depends what Oda calls it. The thing is like if he calls it like an act of fate, like maybe like Joy Boy isn't a haki thing, right? Maybe Joy Boy is an act of fate or something, and you know Luffy's been fated to do all the stuff that he's been doing and all this crap. So no, it just hasn't been connected.
Fair enough.
Because the thing with willpower is like realistically, willpower is just like I want to do that, and you do it. So you can connect anything, literally anything, to willpower.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Like the fact that like Luffy can carry massive stones above his head,
Oh, mate.
be his haki, even if it's not him actually using armament haki. If
okay.
you get what I mean.
I've gone down the rabbit hole this week of watching videos, and it's sort of set me off in a very quiet way of people discrediting feats in One Piece where people move like relative to or equal to or faster than light, but then say that the same feat in other series are valid when they do the exact same things, and they're just deciding to pick and choose examples of it.
I think the whole like, oh, you're shooting a laser at me and you dodged it, that's absolutely insane. I think that's like the worst example of power scaling possible. Because when you think about it, like you can watch like Star Trek episodes where like
Yeah.
they're getting shot by like a little laser pistol and they're dodging. You can watch like Star Wars, like the original Star Wars movies, and people like
Dodging
they shoot
lasers.
and guy dives out of the way and a laser misses him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people like it does just because it's technically a laser doesn't mean it has to move light speed. This is fantasy.
Yeah, but I mean, that being said, there are specific times where stuff's stated to be light speed. Like in Naruto, Madara's light fang is stated to be light speed. In One Piece, the pacifista lasers, they're stated to be light speed because they're Kizaru's light lasers. You know what I mean?
That's the thing with calcs is, to be honest, if you want a power scale, you just have to argue with people that your opinion is right. Don't bring like maths into
Dude,
it. It's wrong.
I
You just get
listened.
to it ridiculous.
I listened to a dude's dead set say Luffy is 970 times faster than the speed of light as a lowball estimate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, shit! Every time Luffy takes a step, he going 1,000 years back in time. Whoa! He is Joy Boy. Fuck! You solved One Piece. He just gets so fast, he goes back in time. Good on you. You know what I mean? But it's like, dude, speed calcs and stuff like that, it's just like, yo, I understand what you're doing, and it's fun to compare. But a lot of people, and I mean, me and you, on stream, have arguments about this all the time, where it's like, we're looking at a still image that's representing motion. 3-4 panels, I mean, fuck, sometimes even 3 pages could be 1 second of in-time movement. And we don't view it like that. We're like, oh, that's a page. That's like a minute each. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing. Even with like, for example, with like King flying at Zoro, it's possible that Oda could draw like 3 or 4 panels of him slowly flying towards him, but then Oda comes out and says, no, he actually is like light speed.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, but you drew 4 panels of him getting closer and closer. Yeah, but he's that big.
But that's the thing, and that's like that.
No.
That's like what we were discussing before with Law's sword. It's like, dude, that's why these discussions on the weekend, they're great for the story, because if you just read it and you have your preconceived notion of how fast someone is, right? You will stay in that echo chamber. Us talking, we're breaking it down, we're discussing it, going, okay, look at this, look at that, how does this or that go, right? We've got the chat here, the chat's constantly going, what about this? Think about this, have you looked at it in this perspective? I think, as a manga fan, as an anime fan, I mean, hell, as a One Piece fan right now, it's the best time to be alive, it's the best time to be streaming, because we all get to be here, and it's like, you get to enjoy the story. You get to have fun and talk about it, but then you also get to go, how have I actually read it wrong in the past? You know what I mean? Like, I feel like every time I reread a chapter or look at something differently, I get a different perspective of it. And I mean, that's not even including how the dialogue changes with the official releases and stuff like that. And that's even...
I was actually thinking we need to like write down our takes, so that, because I feel like we've both been wrong in so many cases, but we never realize it because we've moved on. We're not thinking about it anymore. You know, we'll get proved wrong so many times we just don't know.
Yeah, but that's it.
We probably get proved right heaps of times we don't know.
But that's why we go back and like re-look at this stuff from time to time. Oh, we're at 100 subscribers, are we? I didn't get the notification. Did someone subscribe? Oh, look at that. Triple digits, baby. Whoever that 100 subscriber was, I didn't get the notification, but yo, thank you. Much love. We're at triple digits. And what a chapter to get triple digits on. Potentially the chapter that Big Mom dies. That'll forever go down as triple digits Big Mom's death. I'll take that to the grave. But yeah, dude. Like I was saying, going back and re-looking at stuff, like, do you know what I've seen a lot of people say Whitebeard's the weakest Yonko because he couldn't use Haki in Marineford and he was old and sick and he was shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I had someone say one simple phrase to me and I went back and I reread Marineford and I went, shit, you might be right. Squad stabbing Whitebeard is the only reason why Whitebeard didn't use Conqueror's Haki in Marineford. Because when Whitebeard went to use Conqueror's Haki, he had a heart attack and started spurting blood from his chest. Where he got stabbed by Squad.
Right.
And there's an argument to be had there then. If Squad never stabs Whitebeard, do we get that Haki moment of Luffy, or does Whitebeard do it instead? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, we never really talk about this, but it's like, you know, like, we don't know how you activate Conqueror's Haki. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's some level of, like, mental preparation there, or, like, some way to flex and activate it, isn't there?
Yeah. I always kind of imagine it like a part of your mind that you've never used before, and you've got to figure out how to, like...
How to touch into it? Yeah.
It's like a way of thinking that you just have never been able to think that way before.
Mm-hmm. It's good. It's crazy though, like, because it's like, shit. Like, how did... Yeah, I'm just gonna refresh this. I'm just gonna give. There was someone else that subscribed the other day when I wasn't streaming. They're gonna get a double notification here because we're at 101 subscribers now. I'm just gonna give them the double credit for it. But yo, cheers to everyone that subscribed. But yeah, with Whitebeard there, like, does that kind of changes that kind of changes the perception there, doesn't it? Like, if you are capable of using your Haki like that, but you just, when you went to use it, you had a physical heart attack because you got stabbed in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a different turn there, where it's like, oh, he's not nearly as old or as sick as we think. He's still old and sick, by all means. But it's like, it's not like the mockery that people do of him, where they're like, he couldn't even use Conqueror's Haki, he's weak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, later on in the arc as well, when he's punching Akainu after he, you know, Ace bites the bullet, it's like, Whitebeard's punching Akainu and not touching Akainu, and Akainu's bleeding. So either Whitebeard's quakes bypass a Logi's defense, or there's Haki on that in some capacity.
Yeah.
either way, it's like you either have to look at that and be like, okay, he's capable of haki, and we're too dumb to see it at the time. Fair enough. Or you then have to look at Blackbeard and go, holy shit, you can hurt a Logia without even using haki? You know what I mean? It's like, if you detract away from one person in this story, most of the time by detracting away from that one person, all you're doing is inadvertently stacking someone else up with other abilities. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I ain't gonna lie, right? Kaido right now seems like a better armament and conqueror's fighter than Big Mom. Not that because Big Mom can't do it, but because he's doing it so casually. Whereas Big Mom is relying on elements, right?
That's not surprising as well, because Big Mom has the elements to rely on. Like, if she wants to do a big attack, she's going to send the homies out. Whereas he's like, I need to use my club.
I remember how shocked I was when we saw Big Mom advance Conqueror's Rio Punch page 1. And I was like, she can do that? And I mean, that's even been what's led me to be like, oh fuck, maybe I overhyped Shanks for too many years. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to get into that debate, but it's like, if you detract away from one person in one aspect of their ability, in this story, because of how nuanced it is, all you're doing is stacking someone up. Like, stacking someone else up. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's something as well with, like, power scaling. If I was trying, for example, let's say didn't think narratively Law or Kid was going to beat Big Mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to argue to you that like Kid and Law teaming up could beat Big Mom. I feel like I would and you were like disagreeing. I feel like I would never be able to win that argument. Just because you'd be like, no, she can just send Prometheus out and he can like expand to the size of like an island. They'll just get evaporated. She'll just send Hera out and like they can't dodge lightning. Like you could argue in so many different ways that she would just annihilate, you know.
But she
has advanced Conqueror's Rio. Like she'll just smash them. It's like, yeah, nothing I can say against that because the stuff that she has in her kit are just like well above what they can handle. And yet, they still beat her, right? So
I mean, arguably,
really hard with that because you could argue the power scaling to death, but it's like I feel like you would never win an argument saying Law and Kid can beat Big Mom based on what Big Mom has shown because she would just annihilate them.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it makes it difficult now because it's like there's a lot of nuances that go into combat here. You know what I mean? Like, we don't talk about this enough, but like we know CP9 was using Haki pre-time skip now. Whether or not that was planned at the time or it's a retcon, we know that Iron Body is Haki, right?
Uh-huh.
Sanji, base form, no Diablo Jumbe, kicks Bluno when Bluno uses Iron Body, right? And Bluno almost passes out from it.
True.
There's a moment on that, and if you don't believe me, go back. It's when they're on the train and Sanji's stuck on that solo mission with Robin, and they separate the train carts. Bruno's holding the two train carts there together, so he can't dodge this attack. Sanji kicks this man clean in the gut while he's using Iron Body, and he almost passes out. But he's like, oh, if it wasn't for Iron Body, I would have been done there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like a character without Haki can hurt a character with Haki while they're using Haki. Yeah. Haki isn't the be-all, end-all. Like, Haki is an added effect on top of your base stats.
Yeah.
Base stats still matter. That is why Big Mom and Kaido, who have got natural bodies and are fighting these people a lot of the time without advanced Haki, are so freaking ridiculously strong.
Well, here's the thing. I would argue that what Luffy's doing right now with Conqueror's Rio, with his fruit, blowing his hands up to giant size, and then like slinging his arm back and then like doing the slinging punch, like the pistol punch, his hand, that is creating so much more force than he would normally be able to generate just by punching, right?
Yeah.
Yet Kaido is still matching it.
Yeah.
Because Kaido is just physically way stronger than Luffy is.
Yeah.
The reason that Luffy's keeping up is because he's got all these benefits that he's using.
Yo, dude, my dude Luffy out here pre-time skip, pushing buildings apart, bench pressing buildings. Kaido out here lifting an island with a thought, just like, I am a god. Like, it's fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? The physical stats are ridiculous. Big Mom literally walks through solid earth when she's in a ditch in Whole Cake Island. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
She's literally strolling through bedrock, just like, ugh, it's in my mouth. Ugh. Keep moving. These people are so stacked in such a seedy way. I love it though. I really do love it. But it's impressive because it's like power creep exists in One Piece by a significant margin, and you can call it Haki blooms or whatever. After every conflict, people get stronger, right?
Yeah.
The question is, how much power creep do other people get? And how efficient is it? You know what I mean? Because Law went from being done in by Don Quixote Doflamingo to be fighting Big Mom and Kaido. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, shit. What's going to happen to the Grand Fleet next time we see him? You know what I mean? Because they were all pretty strong dudes already.
I mean, and it was like specifically stated that when we see them next, they're going to be a lot stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to be like
They're going to be
world captains.
they're going to be shitting. Like,
They're going to be like Izo and that, right? They're going to be basically Whitebeard's 10th Division commanders.
I mean, shit, next time we see some of them, I wouldn't be surprised if they're taking on Topiropo members.
Yeah. I mean, I think Izo could.
Because, I mean, shit, Cavendish is fast.
Cavendish is
strong.
going to be a fucking weapon, yeah.
Yeah.
I think Cavendish will be over Husu.
Yeah, probably. My dude out here, he got the moves. He's slick. He got the moves like Jagger, and the fame like Jagger. You know what I'm saying? But
Can't wait, dude. Cavendish doing like projectile, stab slash thingies, like stabs off of his rapier.
Yep.
Be crazy.
And then we've got Barto, the perfect barrier. But let's not forget. I mean, shit. We don't talk about the Grand Fleet enough. I'm gonna skip one person for last because they need a bit of an extra hype, right? But I mean, look, Hadruden was getting crushed by 10,000 tons, right? Having his bones broken. Imagine the Haki bloom this man's gonna get, because he was getting crushed by 10,000 tons and then builds up enough strength to not only push it off him, but to right hook it hundreds to even a kilometer or two into the air. Like he was pegging a baseball.
Yeah, and also, even among Elbaf, he's considered like a prodigy.
Yeah. And we saw him boxing in Dressrosa. Pretty
Can you
sure...
imagine Hadriden doing Elbaf spears with punches?
Yeah, no, dude, fuck that. We saw him boxing in Dressrosa, right?
Yeah.
Why is it every other time we've seen him, he's got a sword? In the Big Mom flashback, he's training with the sword. He's a swordsman.
Yeah, true.
We saw him going into a competition of strength, going in for the boxing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But my dude might just be a swordsman. We might see him next time. It's just like, Elbaf spear? Nah. Gun girl slash. Whew. Deleting whole chunks of island. Right? Leo and the Tontadas, you gotta remember, their little tails were so strong that they were snapping the necks of people. You know what I mean? And they're fast little buggers. And he's got that stitch ability. Like, he could be, like... It'd be hard for him to power scale up that hard and that quick, but he could be a pretty devastating foe to deal with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he would just be like... They would just be like sowing chaos. Right? Like, they would just be annihilating fodder because they're just flying through the fodder and no one can, like, keep up with them, and they're just, like, causing havoc everywhere.
And then, the most underrated member of the Grand Fleet, Donsai.
Yeah.
In Dressrosa, this man split the plateau, the flower plateau,
Mhm.
when he beat when he beat Lao Ji and Don Chinjiao, right? You gotta remember, he takes out Don Chinjiao. Oh, I can't remember if Lao Ji took out Don Chinjiao, but I think like he rearranged Don Chinjiao's head and then he took out Lao Ji. So I think he takes out Don Chinjiao because of friendly fire, and then takes out Lao Ji, right? But he split the plateau cleanly, right? I think the plateau was supposed to be something like 50 meters deep, but it was like 200 to 300 meters long. He essentially did with a kick what Zoro was doing to Picker,
Yeah.
but it was just on like it just. I mean, fuck. It's not as flashy when you got a giant stone golem coming at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could you imagine how broken Sai is? And that's not even mentioning Sai is a martial artist. He's got a special martial art that's supposed to work similar to, like, you know how Fishman Karate uses water?
Yeah.
He uses like sound waves or vibrations through your body to do the same sort of effects.
True. Yeah.
That shit could come back so broken. You know? Like the Straw Hat Grand Fleet after this. I mean, shit, we ain't even gonna lie. The Straw Hats are Yonko level after, like Yonko Kuru level after this, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The Grand Fleet is going to be well and truly over those shitty ass gifters and headliners.
I think like um yeah, the Grand Fleet are gonna come in and it's gonna make Luffy's crew strongest Yonko crew.
Yep. Yep.
Because they have like Shanks level kind of crew
Crew.
members, like core crew members, plus they have the army of basically like Kaido's army.
Yeah.
In the
And the
yeah.
samurai and arguably fishmen pirates and all these other sorts of little allies that we don't
Yeah.
talk about enough.
If we're talking like end of series, like with all of those people joining him, he's gonna be like basically have half the military strength of the world.
Oh, sugar. I didn't even realize. I'm a little bummed out. We didn't get part. We got a color spread. We didn't get part of the bloody Germa cover story this chapter.
Oh yeah, true.
I'm actually really interested because it's called the Cold-Blooded Germa Tale. I'm wondering if Judge Ichiji and Reiju just leave and
Like them,
they don't
'cause
give a
they're
fuck.
failures.
Yeah. And then putting maybe like put herself on the line to free them, and they might not give a shit about her.
Right.
So like they might just leave without her or take her hostage and leave.
Yeah.
And then it's about her trying to get to know the Vinsmoke family and then being like, "Oh, she's actually kind of chill."
Sanji finds out about it and just whoops all their asses.
Well,
Like
I mean,
single-handedly wipes his family out.
they can't feel emotion, right?
Yeah.
But she can manipulate memories and feelings.
Whoa.
The germ is
I don't
cold.
know though, because it's only memories, right? The memories would give you a feeling, but it's only memories.
But what if, I mean, we saw her steal Sanji's memories. We don't
Yeah,
we don't know what extent there is with that. Like for all we know, she can copy people's memories. She might be able to give them someone else's memories, and they can feel someone else's emotions from it.
Right. Okay. Because the emotion is part of the memory.
Yeah,
Right.
like there's a whole wide array of possibilities here for like, ooh shit. Also though, I hope before we leave Whole Cake Island on that cover story, we get to see Snack, Cracker, and Katakuri having healed up. Like
Yeah.
I want to see if Cracker's dead.
We have to see what Katakuri is going to do. Actually, I think that kind of lines up well because either this next chapter is going to be Big Mom defeated or gets defeated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Has already been defeated this past chapter or gets defeated in this next one. And then the
Cover
heading
page.
of the cover page of the chapter is probably going to be Katakuri and stuff, whatever they're doing. Say, like, oh, let's go meet Big Mom or something like that, whatever they're
Yeah.
going to do. Yeah.
I reckon thematically that can work. The latest episode in the anime convinced me that Carrot is the better candidate than Yamato for becoming a Straw Hat. In all honesty, why can't we have both? Like, why can't we
I
have?
think we can have both.
Why can't we
I
have?
think we can.
Why can't we have Jinbei, Yamato, Carrot, maybe Otama join all at the end here?
Yeah, I've always kind of lent more towards Carrot than Yamato, just because I feel like Carrot actually has like a role on the ship, like she's the lookout,
And
whereas
she's
Yamato
had.
would be the Odin, basically.
See, I can see people being like, "Oh, Carrot's just been ignored this arc," but I mean, Carrot had Zoe, she had Whole Cake, and then in this arc, though, even she had the whole like Perospero thing, and it's nowhere near as
She's
good.
still up. Okay.
Yeah, she's still up.
It might help with CP0
Yeah.
in some way.
I mean, look, she was nowhere near as good as beating Perospero, but like Perospero was Jack level.
Yeah, true.
Like, we say she didn't get like enough this arc. It's like, dude, imagine if Nami had to fight Jack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's like, fuck, good on ya, good try, pat on
He
the
was
back.
running away from page 1, who I would argue is the weakest of the Toby Roppo.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, shit. There's a good argument to be had. Page 1 or Drake, who's the weakest? I'm sorry. I for years I was like, go Drake, yeah, you're gonna be a big guy, be
Drake's
strong.
gonna be the strongest of all the Toby Roppo.
Bruh, I feel so gutted about that because it's like, if he's down and CP0 beat him here and it was an extreme low diff, I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be like, dude, you're an embarrassment. But
To be fair though, I reckon they could low diff like, yeah, a lot of those dudes.
well, I mean, to be fair, he's a rear admiral technically. So,
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. It's just like I look at him and I'm like, if he goes back to the Marines, surely they'll make him a vice admiral. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like it's kind of got me there. Just like we've had too many vice admirals be treated like a joke. Just for once, I want them to be like, yo, they're intimidating again. You know what I mean?
Here's a good point. Right? CP0 attacked Drake to kill him, yeah?
Yep.
CP0 aren't going to fail at killing someone.
Nope.
They're not going to beat someone up and then walk away and they survive.
Yep.
Is Drake's just dead, yeah?
Maybe.
Like,
he may recover.
not.
He may recover because he's an ancient zone.
That looks really bad for CP0.
I
They
mean,
fail to kill someone. These are masked CP0 agents. I could see that from like a CP9.
but I mean, they did put him out. He's completely unconscious, regardless.
Yeah, but because the reason they wanted to kill him is to stop because they knew that he was with sword and all that shit, and they didn't want him to talk.
Yeah.
Basically, tried to kill him to silence him. So if they failed to kill him, all they've done is make the situation worse for themselves by attacking him.
Yep.
So that's like pretty big incompetence.
Okay. Is Apu gonna get taken out by them next, or are they just gonna ignore Apu and go after Robin?
I don't know.
Because
Hard
Apu's
to see where they're even going.
Apu started because they're still chasing Robin, but they dropped Drake, and one of them was like Apu ran away,
Yeah, right.
and now they're fighting Izo. Holy shit! I almost forgot about that.
Yeah, there's the Izo situation.
I'm sorry, Izo. It was nice knowing you. The Nine Scabbards had a
Izo's
good run.
doing it. But here's the thing though. What if I was thinking like, what if that other random person that like Toki, what we're thinking is like Toki shows up, or
Well, I mean,
I don't know,
wasn't that just
Are
Yori?
they in the place where like Frankie could bump into them?
No, they're below Frankie.
No, I kind of see someone coming over and helping Izo, like some of the samurai or something like that.
God Usopp?
Eventually.
Nah, maybe. Oh, I mean, the question is though, like, do we want, like, narratively speaking, CP0 need to be injured a little bit each time. so that when they do get
That's
defeated,
kind of what I'm getting at. Is like I feel like it's gonna be one of those things where it's like everyone likes the Straw Hats so much that the CP0 are trying to go after Robin, and then people just keep jumping in and getting defeated by them, but like fighting
and
them
then
all the same.
eventually when they get to someone semi still strong, it's just
They're
like,
like kind of tired.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard though, because it's like shit. I mean, they can do Soru, they can fly, they can skywalk, they can do projectile finger pistols.
I mean, hey, it gives Brooke a chance to show off a bit.
I mean, yeah, it does, but it's like also at the same point in time, it's like the only reason I could see Brooke beating any of them, like, and I know that sounds bad, like I'm discrediting Brooke here. I'm not. It's like they're one-shotting Drake. Like, no offense to Brooke, Brooke's struggling against Drake.
Yeah, he's not Drake.
You know what I mean? And they're one-shotting fools like that. And, like, look, I can see the argument that Queen, Hawkins, and Who's Who already injured Drake significantly in an off-screen at the beginning of the arc.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so it's like Drake's already weakened, plus fighting a poo, then got one shot, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Because you got to remember...
I think it's just like as simple as their
they're good.
finger pistol can stab through him.
Yeah.
And they just stabbed him like 50 times in
No.
like a second.
No.
What are you going to do against
if you look at it, he's got 2 injuries. They hit either shoulder and he's out.
All right.
So it's like his X, and they aim for the shoulders specifically. I don't know if it's like a freaking Vulcan nerve grip or what. They go for the pressure point. You know what I mean?
What if it was like stick a finger in each shoulder and then Ryukyuku gun your insides?
I mean, there's no reason to say that I mean, they took out a number with a finger pistol.
Yeah.
If you stab a number, it shouldn't do anything. So there's nothing to say that the upgraded finger pistol isn't like an advanced Rio attack. You know what I mean? And that's why it's so devastating as a technique. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is that like he has Ryokugu, like Lucci had Ryokugu gun, right?
Yep.
But he never called that the 7th power. You know what I mean? It has to be under the banner of the others.
Oh no, he did.
What did you say?
He said if you master all 6 powers, there's a final secret technique of the 6 powers.
Okay, but it's still part of the 6.
Yeah.
Right. But that's kind of like that was sort of like what I was getting at
Yeah.
is like Ryokugu gun could just be like an upgrade of the finger pistol, like another technique, but like finger pistol related. Because like the 6 powers might not be, for example, like one of the powers might not be shave. It might be the ability to move really quick, which manifests itself into doing a shave.
Which what I'm getting to is, would any of the 6 powers work on Brook? Because if you use Rio on him, what are you gonna do? Fuck his organs up?
Yeah, I was actually thinking it would be really funny if Brook was fighting them and he learnt the body, but he called it bone body. And basically, he's just moving his body so that when they finger pistol, they just go in between his ribs. Never actually hit him.
I was having a difficult conversation with Glitter off stream, right? Because I had a hypothesis and it didn't work out for me. But Jinbei typically, when he's using Haki, specifically calls it shark skin.
Yeah.
Right? Do you remember that? When he's like shark skin block against Big Mom, and uses shark skin techniques when he's using armament?
Yeah.
Do you know the only other time when he's used shark skin techniques other than Whole Cake and Onigashima? It was part of the attack he did to beat Moria.
Right, okay.
To win Moria pre-time skip. And defend against Moria's slash. Which is interesting. The problem is, going back to the Who's Who fight, Jinbei uses armament Haki when he's like, oh, should I call this Iron Body? And he doesn't continue to call shark skin stuff relating to it. So it's not consistent. Okay. But there was a bit of consistency where it was like, when he's using Haki, he says shark skin. And then I was like, rereading Marineford, I'm like, shit, he says shark skin. Shark skin palm block thrust.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which would have been like...
Maybe they're like Fisher Tigers techniques or something.
Maybe. Um, okay. If Usopp and Nami and Chopper were to rank, what marine rank can they defeat? Okay, this is actually going to be a rough one. Um, they can defeat higher ranks than what I'm going to say, but if they were to rank in the Marines, Nami is going to be a rear admiral. With Zeus and all that, Nami's a rear admiral at least. Right? She's there with Hina. You know what I mean?
I think Nami can beat a vice admiral. Not the top
I
tiers, but
I don't disagree that she could beat a vice admiral. But if she was in the Marines and got a rank currently where she is, I was like, I feel confident saying she's a rear admiral.
honestly, I think if she was in the Marines and got a rank, she'd just be like a captain. They'd just be like, yeah, sail around in your little ship.
I don't know. I reckon I'd give them some props. Chopper though, Chopper and Usopp are hard. Chopper with Monster Point was one-shotting CP9 members. So it's like,
Yeah.
Chopper is at least... He's in the range between Commodore and Vice Admiral. Because although Nami can do like a high attack with like Zeus and she's got heaps powerful weather abilities, her physical body and her physical defense is pretty like left to be desired. You know what I mean? Whereas Chopper's a lot more overall tanky and strong. He's more consistent with it. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Usopp is the hardest one to gauge here. Because, I mean, shit. Usopp hasn't really gotten a fight this arc, right? Last time Usopp got a fight, he unlocked Observation Haki. Why have we not gotten Usopp training with Observation Haki yet?
I have no idea. Waiting for Elbaf, I guess.
Okay. Talking about Elbaf for a second. I'm going to wrap the stream up in a minute. It's almost... it's 10:35 and I've got work tomorrow, so I've got to get off. But we'll make this the last conversation piece, guys. I think the guy's name's Aesop or Aesop. Is a Greek parable storyteller, right?
Right.
Well known for telling fables and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Some people have been drawing comparisons with him, saying Usopp's based off him. And considering Elbaf spelled backwards is fable, it would be really interesting. Like, a lot of people have got that theory that Usopp's, like, that Elbaf's going to be Usopp's arc, right?
Yeah.
It would be really interesting, regardless of whether or not Shanks involved or not, is if Usopp meets his dad in Elbaf. And he challenges his dad to a sniping duel. And that's where he sort of like really develops his observation haki. And it's like a friendly duel, sort of like the Daddy Masters sort of duel.
Yeah.
And so, like, it just increases the legend of Usopp there. Because at that point in time, like... do you think Usopp's ever going to have an interaction with his dad on screen?
What if Yasop is also a liar? He's actually, like, really weak. He's actually like when he said like, oh, I can shoot an ant through the ant in between the antennas, he just can't.
What if he?
Like, he just
What if he's the dead opposite? What if he's like really powerful, never says anything about it, and everyone else just talks him up, and he's just like, I don't really want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any predictions for next chapter? You obviously think Big Mom's down. Do you reckon we go back to the
I think
Luffy?
Big Mom's down.
Look. I'll be divisive. I'll say I think Big Mom's up, and next chapter will be Kid versus Big Mom.
I think we'll go Yamato with the bombs. I think this chapter, it might have a little bit of Luffy Kaido in it, but it won't be a significant amount. I think it'll be mostly like accessory stuff.
Okay.
Be a bit more what's going on with Zoro.
This is my prediction, right? Chapter opens up, Yamato throws bombs down hole. Kid says to Law, move the people away. Law moves Law and Kid's crews out the way a bit. Kid unleashes some crazy abilities. Big Mom's like, huh, that hurt, but you think that's all I've got, you know? Goes to do some ridiculous shit. Kid just does an even bigger, better, stronger laser, beats her. Right? Or something crazy. Chapter ends, Big Mom's been beaten, and it's Kid looking up like, now it's just left up to you. And we end with a final panel of Luffy vs. Kaido. In arguably, maybe Luffy in some new Gear 4 form. Or in Gear 4. But it's like a lot of silhouette. That's my prediction for next chapter. I got a feeling we're gearing up for Kid vs. Big Mom for a little bit. But it's not going to be the whole chapter. You know what I mean? It's going to be like, opens with a brief scene of like moving the plot along. Kid vs. Big Mom, and then setting up for the true climax of Luffy vs. Kaido. And that rounds it off really well, considering chapter 1040 being that like final 10 number means we've got from like 1041 to 149 to have Luffy have beat Kaido and Wano to start, you know, potentially Wano is done in 15 to 20 chapters. Potentially. Otherwise, if Big Mom stays up for a while, I can see Wano lasting longer than that. You know what I mean? Because if you think about it, right, Luffy has been fighting Kaido since chapter 1000. It's 1040 now. And it's been on again and off again with Luffy fighting Kaido, right?
Yeah.
The second Big Mom goes down, I say no more than 5 chapters from Luffy fighting Kaido to Luffy beating Kaido. And I think that is already really, really giving it a lot of time. Because every other fight's ended a lot quicker than that.
I think it's possible, but I think it's more like you'll have it like it'll be like a couple of blows between Luffy and Kaido and a little bit of dialogue, but it's not really much is progressing in their fight. And then we're mostly focusing on what's happening with Yamato, what ends up happening with like Raizo and that, what's going on with Zoro. Could be Sanji getting back up, and then the CP0 stuff.
I think with Raizo, what may end up happening is whether or not it's Jinbei or Frankie. I think someone runs into Raizo, and you know how he's on fire and Fukurojuko's on fire?
Yeah.
And you know how they're not letting each other go from the paralysis jutsu?
Yeah.
I reckon someone just runs past, probably Jinbei because it's fire, sees it Raizo's on fire, puts the water out, picks him up and carries him off, and Fukurojuko's stuck there burning to death, and Raizo's just holding it just like, I reckon that's the best way for that fight to end now.
Yeah, it'd be funny.
Which, mind you, can we just point out for a second that one of two things exists. Either the paralysis jutsu exists and it's not a devil fruit thing and anyone can learn it, in which case, why don't more people learn it? Or, it doesn't exist at all. Both of them are doing it thinking that each other's trapped and both of them can move and they're just like, I can't move. Either way, it's fucking stupid. You know what I mean? Like, guys are literally burned to death, just like, I can't move, this sucks. Ha 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 ha. Just like, in reality, it's just like, just walk away. Dude's just holding his finger and looking at you. That doesn't mean shit. You know what I mean?
Wind knocked one of them over and they stumble a bit and they go, wait, walking.
Wouldn't that be hilarious though for Oda to set that up? Like I said, because I'm pretty sure we don't know exactly where Jinbei is, and he's leaving from higher levels. He was coming down from level 5 where he fought Who's Who, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so Raizo's on level 1. So Jinbei will arguably reach down to him eventually. And then, like I said, since he's on fire, Jinbei can just spout some water on him, and one of them's fine. You know? And, like, imagine how funny it is, because Jinbei's a big sumo dude. He's just carrying off Raizo over his shoulder, and Raizo's just hanging over his shoulder, just keeping him pinned.
Yeah.
And Fukurojuku's just, like, cursing him, and he's just like, you should have stayed loyal to your lord. Alright. we're gonna wrap the stream up there. We've been going for 2 hours and 44 minutes. Holy shit! I didn't expect to be going for 3 hours tonight. It was a great chapter. No break, which is always the most important thing. So this week we're getting chapter 1040, baby. Big shit-eating grin from ear to ear. Do you have any predictions that you wanted to say for next chapter, or anything you wanted to say?
Yeah, I'm all good.
All good. All right. We'll wrap the stream up there. Peace. Nothing but love. Nothing but respect. Have a damn good day. Nothing but love. Goodbye.